You got no cash, no plan, no clue. Just $1,000 course you swear is the truth. Think you Warren Buffett cause you chart some lines. Bro, your net worth lower than your RSI. You flood the comments with your stupid ass trades. Flex fake games but your rent's unpaid. Trying to teach me trades, boy, check your receipts. Only thing you hedge is your rent this week. Oh, you think you're smart? Yeah, right. Talk big, trade small, broke boy inside. Lame, bet the farm, now you're crying in the chat. Market's rigged, now you're just bad. Too bad, every dip you swear it's the bottom. But you bag hold worse than your problems. Oh, you called it top, congrats dumbass. But you've been saying that since last year's crash. Meanwhile, I'm deep in a high beta swing. Took profits so clean, left them all in a spin. You cry market's rigged when your puts go south. But I know for a fact that you ain't cashing out. You trade like a fool, but you act like a king. Got no real plays, just retweets and dreams. Oh, you think you're smart? Yeah, right. Talk big, trade small, broke boy inside. Lame, bet the farm, now you're crying in the chat. Market's rigged, now you're just bad. Too bad, every dip you swear it's the bottom. But you bag hold worse than your problems.
Oh, you think you're smart?
Right.
Talk big, trade small, broke boy in sight.
Lame.
Bet the farm, now you crying in the chat. Market's rigged, nah, you're just bad.
Too bad, every dip you swear it's the bottom. But you bag hold worse than your problems.
Oh brother, oh brother, oh brother. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Matt Kohrs Show, where you're Matt, I'm Kohrs, and together we might just have a show. It is a beautiful Monday, April the 14th, I want to say. I'm pretty sure it's the 14th, if you believe in the linear nature of time, but hey, I'm not your mom. I can't tell you what the proper construct of time is, so you're going to just have to rip it today. But anyway, folks, I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you had a great conclusion to the week on Friday, locking a bunch of tendies, and then came into the weekend. Hopefully you had fun at your local Texas Roadhouse, and now you're ready to rip it again. Obviously, if you peeked the markets a little bit this morning, maybe when futures market opened up late last night, late 6 p.m. Look at me, I'm already an old man. Anyway, opened up at the very, very late time of 6 p.m. You saw we were pretty green. We gave a little bit of it back, and now we're recapturing the green that we did give back at market open. Obviously, if you're like me and you were doom scrolling all weekend in between the Masters, you realize that, okay, things were looking pretty good on Saturday. We got some news related to the tensions with China and the trade war and tariffs. And everyone's like, dude, we're going to get a huge gap up. And then yesterday, Sunday, we then got some news that the positive news we got was actually not accurate. And then all of a sudden, people were like, dude, so what does this actually mean? So basically, it's as confusing and chaotic and high volatility, large ranges, as much whipsaw as we've been having. It looks like that's not really going anywhere anytime soon. So as of right now, things are looking a little bit optimistic, pretty green. I'll show you that all in a second. I'll break down all the major news from the weekend, some of the things being said this morning, and then remind you about all the other, hey, Piper, what's up? Oh, looks like Piper might be trading with us today. So that's another positive sign. So I think we're looking good. I think we're just looking absolutely dandy. But anyway, I hope you had a great weekend. I appreciate you stopping by so early today. And let's see if we could get some good D-Dren trades in today. You know, that sounds like a good plan. Dow futures jumped more than 300 points as the U.S. tariff exemptions boost tech stocks. I really don't know why anyone pays attention to the Dow. I don't think anyone does pay attention to the Dow. I think the only reason lamestream media continually refers to it is because they know that the older generation, for some reason cared. No one's paying attention to Dow. Tell us what's going on with the S&P 500. Tell us what's going on with the NASDAQ, maybe a little bit of the Russell. But to tell us about the Dow, I think they just do it because nominally it has like the biggest number movement. So I think they just know that there's some part of our dumb little monkey brains that like look for big numbers and we're like, whoa. And then that's why they're doing it. Just a guess. So anyway, on to more of the important stuff. You could see right here, the SPY up a nice 1.7% in pre-market trading, adding on to the 1.8% that it gained on Friday. The NASDAQ is currently up 2%, adding on to the 1.8% it also gained on Friday. You can see vol is kind of falling off a cliff. I want to see it take out this low. The Wednesday low is an important one because that was not only the high in price that we saw from Trump's potential 90-day pause on Wednesday when we ripped, but if vol can collapse below that you actually like, it shows that we're like breaking out of that range, not only probably nominally in price, but also if vol's calming down even more below that, hey, it shows that maybe in the short term, the bulls actually have a bit of control. And then also Bitcoin hanging out right now around 85-ish thousand. So across the board, things are looking nicely green. You could see the S&P 500 futures contract, nicely green. You can see the NASDAQ, nicely green. Looking at the daily, we're most likely going to be talking about this breakout once again from that Wednesday high. As of right now, let me just update this to get in a bearing of where we are. We're at 5,450. So the high on Wednesday was 5,481. So I think this goes without saying, and everyone and their grandma knows this, but that's what we're watching for because after we take out that Wednesday high, then from there you have about another 100 points higher, technically 90 points higher. You have this upside gap fill from that low on Wednesday. So basically Wednesday the 9th, very important. That's the record-breaking gain day that we had, once again, on Trump's 90-day pause discussion. And then from there, we're looking at another Wednesday, the low, which is this upside gap fill to 5572 roughly. But that's the Wednesday that Trump, after market close, he had the speech from the Rose Garden, which prompted a gap down, which prompted another gap down, which prompted a sell-off. And then we got to all this craziness. But it looks like Piper does want to say hi to all you folks. Hey, any input? Do you want to share how your weekend was with everyone? Do you want to share how if I sleep in past 9 a.m, you freak out and start attacking me for no reason because you want your food and you have just taken the path of absolute violence if I don't give you said food? Do you want to talk about that with the audience? Do you want to unpack that with all your digital internet friends, perhaps? I don't know. Generally, she's a little bit more talkative. I guess you guys are scaring her this morning. But yeah, if you sleep in past like 8:30, 9 a.m., she loses her mind and actually starts assaulting you. And I looked it up. Apparently, you can't sue your own cat, but it was a worthwhile ChatGPT question, at least in my book. Anyway, we're watching the high from this past Wednesday, and then we're watching the low from the Wednesday before that. So basically looking at the Wednesday numbers, it's odd that it's aligned that way, but hey, it just is what it is. So paying attention to all of that, and this all happened. The fact that we're talking about these breakouts and the upside gap fills, it's because of the stuff that happened from Friday into Saturday. So for those of you who have a life and maybe went outside and touched grass and got some vitamin D and saw the sun and spent time with your friends in real life, you might have missed some of this. So let me quickly recap some of the major news from over the weekend because that's why we're seeing so much bullishness in the market right now, at least in the short term. White House says president is open to making a deal with China. So we're at this point where we've been saying this, a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of ego, there's a lot of hubris, and it's these two guys who they clearly secretly want a deal, but they don't want to be the first one to reach out. So I'm sure through like kind of back channels, they're trying to extend some olive branches, but publicly we're getting statements like that, like, hey, we have nothing scheduled to talk, but we would love to talk. Breaking, the U.S. publishes reciprocal tariff exclusions for computers, smartphones, and chip-making equipment. Just like that, big tech is back. So this was the big news on April 12th. We got up in the morning and we're like, dude, we are going to rip it. Basically because Speaking of the olive branch, this seemed like a pretty big olive branch that the U.S. administration was handing over to China. Now, you might argue not really an olive branch. Maybe there was too much pressure in the bond market, the credit market, the repo market. Maybe they had to do something. But regardless, it had the net effect of being very positive. Let me put this tariff exemption into perspective. Once again, this all happened Saturday, and that's a very important timeline. Hang on. Piper's going nuts again. Can we just chill for a second? We're just kind of going through the show. It's going to be all right. The U.S. imports approximately $100 billion worth of computers, smartphones, and chip-making equipment from China per year. That's about 1/4. So 1/4 right away, they're like, all right, we're going to give you a breather. So once again, this was why everyone was jacked up on Saturday. Not only was Rory making a comeback, and everyone was seeing that their portfolio was also making a comeback. Right after that, China calls on the U.S. to completely remove the mutual tariff. So they maybe not as gracious as people necessarily thought they were going to be. But hey, I mean, I guess that's the classic commentary. Like in all reality, what else would you have like really expected? And then it got weird on Sunday. So we're fast forwarding one day. We're going from April 12th, Saturday, to Sunday, April the 13th. And this is where things got a little bit strange. So the Commerce Secretary Lutnick had I believe it was an ABC interview. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. He said that the tariffs on semiconductors and electronics will come in a month or so. So everyone's a little bit confused because the day before that, Saturday, we got messaging that we were going to be like A-OK and there was going to be more of a breather. Commerce Secretary Lutnick on the tariff exemptions announced this week they are exempt from reciprocal tariffs, but they are included in the semiconductor tariffs, which are coming in a month or so. So basically, they are not tariff exempt, just recategorized. And then there was a whole nother person from the admin doing their speech. And yeah, they did come up with a brand new category. But regardless, it's still net positive. So we're talking about 1/4 of the imports from China to the U.S., talking about really the tech space. So at least they're no longer getting hit at the 145. There's a little bit of confusion, but it sounds like it's going to be in that realm to 10 to 20%. So overall, it's not as positive as people initially assumed on Saturday, but it definitely is positive, and obviously the market's telling you that because we have a pretty sizable 2% gap up. Then from this morning, or actually no, once again, on Sunday, there's just so many different speeches and stuff going on. U.S. Trade Representative Greer says President Trump has no plans to speak with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. So once again, most likely they're doing just a bunch of back channeling. And then that leads us to the most confusing update of this entire saga, at least over the weekend. Trump top aides fuel tariff confusion by questioning the reciprocal exemptions. So this all happened between basically Friday night and Sunday midday. Trump, from his own True Social account, this came out yesterday evening around 3-4 p.m. No one is getting, quote unquote, off the hook from the unfair trade balances and non-monetary trade barriers that other countries have used against us, especially not China, which by far treats us the worst. There was no tariff exemption announced on Friday, even though there was clearly a tariff exemption announced on Friday. And on top of that, they also even offered to kind of pay back the tariffs that were paid recently over a couple days, like just recouping that. But anyway, we walk something back and then walk back the walk back. These products are subject to the existing 20% fentanyl tariffs, and they are just moving to a different tariff bucket. The fake news knows this but refuses to report it. We are taking a look at semiconductors and the whole electronic supply chain in the upcoming national security tariff investigation. So once again, they are still being tariffed. The quote-unquote 20% fentanyl tariff, but at least no longer a huge aspect of this, no longer getting hit at 145. And that's exactly why you're seeing certain equities such as Apple really pop, because obviously they are they're going to be the major victim of anything they're taking from China, which is pretty much all the tech that they're going to be producing to sell at 145. Obviously 20% is quite a bit better, which is exactly why you're seeing Apple right now with a massive gap up. And obviously we could spend a long time discussing who's going to be the winner and who's going to be the loser in this, but I think Apple's is the major one that comes to mind. What's super interesting, especially if you saw the update video from yesterday, right before market close, there were a lot of bullish bets being made on the S&P 500, a lot of bullish bets being made on Apple, and then right before the major announcements on Saturday, there were a lot of bullish bets, like hyper leveraged ones, being made on the crypto market. And it's getting to the point where we all know it's like just a little bit ridiculous, like the entire situation's ridiculous. We saw over the weekend, Cory Booker, he was saying, hey, yeah, we should look into this. And even this morning here, Piper, can I put you down for a second? Is that cool? Hang on. Let's see if Piper actually wants to go to bed. You want to take a nap? Nap time for Piper. Anyway, it's getting to the point that it's so absurd that now even people from the administration are like being directly asked about it. So right here, Hassett, there was no insider trading at the White House. So generally where there's smoke, there's fire. The fact that it's getting to the point that it's getting questioned and they have to even acknowledge it shows you that maybe some of this timing is a little bit suspect. Anyway, the whole deal, not necessarily the insider trading. Here's what Bloomberg has to say about the absolute whipsaw in the tariff news that we've had over the weekend.
The president now warning that tariffs are coming for phones and consumer electronics, downplaying a pause as merely a procedural step. China, meanwhile, hiking its own tariffs to 125% while calling Trump's actions a joke and showing no signs that it's ready to negotiate. We get the outlook for global logistics too, speaking exclusively with the DHL Group CEO, Tobias Mayer.
Tobias.
Take a look at how Asian futures are setting up right now, pointing
Pretty
to the
nice.
upside early in the Asian session as we continue to watch the offshore yuan holding at that 728 level against the US dollar. Remember, 4 weeks of losses already for the Chinese currency, both onshore and offshore. We have seen central bankers, both from China, Korea, Japan, everyone gathering in Malaysia just to discuss these tariff implications for monetary policy. Nikkei futures pointing to the upside of 0.6%. We heard from Japanese officials saying that they will not be using the potential of offloading treasuries in these tariff negotiations going forward. Remember, there was a lot of speculation, of course, on what China might do with their purchases of treasuries that really spooked the treasury markets as well. And Heidi, we saw those losses last week when it comes to U.S. sovereign debt.
All right. There's a bit more there. I just thought that was an interesting point. Well, in general, first, sorry, I should take a step back. Obviously, things are pretty bullish still. They're holding. SPY's up about 1.7% as we have about 15 minutes ago. The Qs are roughly up about 2%. MSTR is making a good jump right now, up 3.6%. It was announced that, or I shouldn't call it MicroStrategy. I guess now it's officially just strategy. Regardless, they did purchase more Bitcoin, just so you guys know. And then coming back to what I had my point about Apple. Apple has a nice gap up of 6%. So it closed at 198, currently trading at 210. So that's a nice gap up. And even MSTR closed at 300, currently trading at 311. So this is all working nicely. Something's going on right now. I'm seeing a little bit of sizable trade volume come across the ticker and the tape here. And we're seeing a little bit of an additional pop in the SPY and in the Q. So things are setting up nicely. Obviously, from a momentum perspective, this is the futures market, as in it started trading at 6 p.m. last night. So it just gives us a little bit more clarity and more of a granular look at what's going on, especially when the normal pit session isn't occurring. But anyway, 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute, 4 hour, all bullish. 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute, 4 hour, all bullish. So we are looking for a pretty nice setup. But obviously, at any point today, things can change. I do need to remind you, yes, we're in earnings season. I'll talk about those in a second. We do have a lot of major macroeconomic reports coming out this week. And of course, at any second, we could be getting an update, another update in the tariff saga, drug war on drug, whatever you want to call it right now, because I know it's being branded as a gazillion different things. But already this morning, we do have some Hassett, the guy who he basically, he was like pinky swearing to all of us that they're not doing any insider trading. He was on Fox this morning. We're making enormous progress on tariff talks with the EU. So if it's true, that's obviously a pretty good sign. And then he also 100% not expecting a recession. That's kind of crazy because the market is telling us that there's roughly a 50 or 60% chance of a recession, and yet Hassett is going up there. And I know, like, these people aren't stupid. Obviously, they know that there's actually a greater chance than not that we have a recession. Is it a guarantee? No. But the fact that they have to go on live TV and say things like this 100% not expecting that. And then it's like, dude, just be honest. Like we can all see the markets, we can all see the indicators, and yet they have to go up because if they don't show that type of confidence, if anything, it might then become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then it might get actually way worse than they want. So like, I get why they have to go this way and say what they have to say, but it's just so incredibly frustrating. And once again, right there, sources do trust me. There was no insider trading at the White House. Okay, yeah, maybe, or maybe there was a lot of insider trading. Talking about the macroeconomic reports that I was referring to, Wednesday of this week, in 2 days, retail sales and Powell will be speaking at 1:15. So Wednesday's kind of a big day. And then on Thursday, we're going to get our normal Thursday stuff. But I do want to remind you, that's the last trading day of this week. So if you happen to be playing options and an expiration date is important for you, just want to remind you, a little public service announcement here. The market is closed this Friday, April the 18th, in observation of Good Friday. So we have a 4-day trading week. So obviously, especially if you're trading options and the amount of time until expiration really matters to you. You got to pay attention to that. Once again, the market closed this Friday. And I should remind you, we're also in earnings season. So early this morning, we heard from Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs tops estimates on boom in equities trading revenue. Not really for the same reason, but we saw actually pretty similar positive reports and also reactions to the other major financial players that we got on Friday: JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, BlackRock. So generically, the financial sector kind of kicks off earnings season. And also right now, the overall tonality of these reports is a bullish one. So we're getting positive numbers during these earnings calls. The CEO, the board, the chairman, whoever you want to call it, they're all saying, hey, like, let's just be careful because like we see some cracks in the foundation. We don't know how wild this trade war is going to get. So their tonality is like a little bit more cautious, but the actual numbers, at least how it did in the past quarter, thus far, we've been seeing some good stuff. So let's hope that continues. I do want to remind you, tomorrow, Tuesday, we're going to be hearing from Bank of America and Citi, Johnson & Johnson, PNC. They're all probably 4 important ones you might care about. We also hear from United, Wednesday, ASML. So that's going to be our first look at what's going on in the world of semiconductors. Then later on this week, Thursday, we're going to hear from TSMC, United Health, and Netflix. So feel free to screenshot this. Feel free to go to @eWhispers on Twitter if you want this graphic. It's also going to be in the free weekly newsletter. If you're not signed up for the newsletter, what in the world are you doing? It's 100% free. It's always been free. It'll always be free. Comes to your email inbox every single Sunday. I break down what's going on in the market. I give you that exact graphic of the earnings. I highlight the ones that I think you're going to care about the most. Then from there, I give you a little cheat sheet of all the major macroeconomic events. There's not really much going on today. I should let you know that as of this morning, Trump is scheduled to speak both around 11, maybe 11:15-ish, and then also once again at 3. So we are going to be hearing things from Trump today. Is he going to say anything about the tariffs? I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but I just wanted to call that out to everyone here that yes, Trump will be doing at minimum 2 different public speeches today, somewhat relating to the president of El Salvador, but then there's also various other things going on. Empire State Manufacturing tomorrow, retail sales, that's probably the biggest one of the week. Jerome Powell's all going to be also speaking on Wednesday. I'm going to update this. But then I also give you the seasonality of each individual day. Right now, today is historically bearish. Doesn't look like this one's going to actually be a bearish one, but you never ever know. So I just wanted to let you know about that. Tuesday, a little bit more bullish, really neutral at pop, but over the past 2 decades, it's really not done anything. Wednesday is a very bullish day, and then Thursday is more of a bearish day, and then obviously the market is going to be closed on Friday. Doesn't necessarily relate to the tariff news, and I put it last just because I didn't know if I'd have time to cover all this, but I do want to let you know that once again, not only do we have maybe some tariff tensions like maybe simmering down, but we also might just get generic global tensions simmering down. Obviously, once in a while, we touch on the narrative of what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. That situation's gotten a little bit quiet, but we have some positive news here. U.S. and Iran set to meet in Rome next for the next round of nuclear talks. So once again, these are all things that you don't know how it's going to either align or not align, but if there's a way in which all the tensions, like not only in the financial markets, but literally just like global conflict, if everything's calming down at once, they could kind of play off of each other. And then we see a little bit more extra bullishness in the market. So just a thing to pay attention to. But once again, another piece of, at least I would argue, as positive news. So that brings us to what in the world is going on today. Right now, we're seeing quite a bit of optimism in the market. Obviously, the bulls, as of right now, are a bit dominant. So I do want to run through some key things that you might just want to pay attention to. Early in the stream, I told you we're basically watching the values on this past Wednesday and the Wednesday before. Can we take out 5482? That is the high from Wednesday the 9th, which is not only important because it's just a technical breakout, but on top of that, that's really when the market first got this 90-day pause. We're getting the news over the weekend, and will we get that breakout? And if we do, how is that going to align with volatility and then also yields? Are yields going to be falling on that? Right now, remember, this giant spike in the 10-year yield and really just the fixed income market in general with yield spiking, that caused a lot of pandemonium. A lot of people started to look at the bond market and ask, what in the world is going on? Because generally, if equities are going down, generally there's a flight to safety in bonds and bonds go up. Well, it wasn't happening because we had equities going down and things like right here, this is TLT, this is the 20-year bond getting absolutely murdered. And that's when we see all these yields spiking. Remember, yields and bond prices move inversely. If yields go up, bonds are down. If bonds are going up, yields are going down. So remember to look at, are you talking about the yield or the actual value of the underlying bond? So anyway, we got a really weird setup, and it has happened historically, but this time around, there's like you've probably heard of the dumbbell strategy, the 60-40, 60% equities, 40% bonds. Well, right now that strategy is getting absolutely destroyed because they're both going down together. And we kind of saw that, and over last week, there was like some legitimate stress in the fixed income market to the point that there's a very, very good argument, maybe a little conspiratorial, but it's also probably right, of why Trump announced what he did when he did last week, because as soon as that happened, it gave everyone a little bit of a breathing room. Not only did equity spike, but you also saw bond spike, and you saw yields take a little bit of a breather, and then it kind of pushed again, but finally we're seeing a bit of a reprieve there. Other weird correlations that should be aligned or were aligned and now are breaking. There's some things to pay attention to. Remember back in August of 24 when everyone's like, the yen carry trade is going to break. That's like this absolute vomit right here. And we saw some craziness in the stock market. Once again, who was levered, who is basically... We're going to find out who actually has the leverage in the margin, and some people did blow out. And then after that, there was a little bit of this recovery. Well, that fear is now once again coming back. You could see that the USD JPY recently trending down, speeding up in recent history. Obviously, we haven't taken out these lows that we saw in September, but just another thing to pay attention to. I know on this particular show, we're a lot more focused of what's actively going on in equities, but right now, because of the crazy, absolute insane backdrop, you got to pay attention to the whole thing. And I know sometimes fixed income is incredibly boring, but I'm telling you right now, it's where a lot of the big money is paying attention. It's what they're watching. It's what they're concerned about. So all this stuff, remember, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Regardless, this is the structure. I'm looking at this giant bar from Wednesday, April the 9th. Are we breaking down? As of right now, it does seem more likely that we're breaking to the upside because in real time, let me show you this. We are not far away at all. We are currently trading at 5460, and that breakout is at 5480. So that's about 20 points to go, which is equivalent to about $2 in the SPY. From there, obviously, very clear technical play, upside gap fill to 5571, which would give us another 90-point boost, which is, once again, another $9 in the SPY. So from a daily perspective, that's what I'm obviously looking at. From an intraday trading perspective, I know there's a lot going on here, so let me explain a little bit just so I don't want to confuse anyone, overwhelm anyone, but the high, the low, and the close are always going to be marked out, the green, the red, and the white. This white block is the transitional period, the transitional zone, if you will, for gamma and for delta on the 0 DTE. So basically above it, I would argue the bulls are in control. Below it, I would argue that the bears are in control. Once again, this is just for a 0 DTE perspective, and then all these yellow lines, the whatever, golden lines, whatever you want to call them, those are the key open interest levels. We are scheduled to open right around 5,460, which is actually where we closed on Wednesday. Once again, as you can tell, a lot of things are coming back to the like what happened on Wednesday, and are we now beating that, or are we failing at these levels? But anyway, we are scheduled to open roughly right around here. So if that happens, we are looking for this value to hold, and maybe there's a dip down to 5,425, looking for that to hold. This is a key technical level. 5,425 is more of a key open interest level. If we can find support at either of these spots, my bull case scenario would be a push to 5,500, key technical level, key psychological level, and a key options level. And then the same thing can be said about 5,525. 5,525 is a really interesting one. You can see from an open interest perspective here. Oops, my apologies. Let me reload this. There is a big player at 5,525. Like it is sizable. There's 4,000 long calls, as in someone is aggressively paying for that. So there might be a large reaction there, because if that person goes from out of the money to in the money, they might choose to monetize. So upon this break of 5,500, if we get there, I will closely be watching 5,525. And if we break above that, then I'm looking for that official upside gap fill to 5,572. So that would be my bull case situation. In a bear case, it would be more of 5,425 does not hold as support, and then we break below that, then I'm watching 5,400, and then from there we're talking about the kind of downside gap fill to the high that we saw on Friday. That would be more of my bear case setup. So obviously we're going to see how these things play out throughout the day. Coming into today, positionally, I am biased to the bullish side because my current plays are going to pay if the bull side wins. So I'm feeling pretty good this morning, but obviously we know that we live in a pretty hectic environment, and any of this can change at any second. So you just got to be a bit prepared. So what I'm going to attempt to do is stay calm, cool, collected, wait those first 15, 20, 30 minutes, let things play out, see what the range is, see where the big money's going, and then ideally from there, I should show you, I haven't made any trades yet. Here's all my futures accounts, all of these, I have Apex and I have some take profit ones right now, so I haven't made any trades today, so I wasn't breaking any of my rules. So if I see an opportunity, hopefully what I want to do today is just do one trade and get a quick 50 points, which would be 1K per account. Obviously right now I'm trading 25 accounts, so that would be a nice 25K, but we're going to see if the market gives that. Obviously, throughout the day, I'll also be giving you, right there, hang on one quick sec. Dingity ding ding ding. The world's largest casino is now open. Best of luck to all. Play responsibly, and if not, have fun. So right now, from a technical setup, in the short term, the bulls are in control. From a price momentum standpoint, you could see bullish, 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 bullish. Okay, so from a technical standpoint, we're looking for these breakouts. And like I said, we are opening right up at that closing value on Wednesday, and we're basically just watching 5,500. Can the market push all the way up there, or are we going to fail here and then have to test at 5,425? So this would be my bull case. This would be my bear case. Target one would be 5,500 on the bull side. A target one on the bear side would be 5,425. So right now, obviously, I'm playing more of the bull side. I want to be clear, but I also want to give you guys both cases just in case maybe you disagree with the market and think we are actually going to get faded here. So I just want to give you both cases. But more importantly for me at market open, is I just want to see the options flow. I want to see how people are positioning. Are they positioning for a continuation to the upside, or are they saying, nope, we want our money and this is about to get faded? So right now, this is not really what I want to see. Granted, we're only 1 minute into the day and this can easily be reversed. But just to tell you more so of what I'm looking for is I want the delta flow. I want the options market to be very aggressive. I want to see them buying calls, selling puts. I want to see vol collapse. I want to see a lot of puts getting closed out, and maybe we can have a Vanna rally or something like that, which would be shown if this were doing the exact opposite. For that to even potentially be a thing, literally your delta flow would be the exact opposite of what this is showing right now. If anything, the Mag 7 delta is not really moving, but the S&P 500 delta is actually thus far favoring the bear camp. But once again, that's out of the gate, and I really don't think you have much of an advantage trading right at market open. Are you going to watch Katy Perry go to space? No, I don't give a shit about that. Blast off. I really don't care about rich people doing their space travel. I think it's cool and I have no qualms with it. Like if I had the money and if I were invited to do it, hell yeah, I would travel in space. But I don't need to watch other people go to space. I have more important things to pay attention to, like my accounts and my trades, and me seeing someone go to space or not go to space. It doesn't really mean anything to me. Doesn't really mean anything. So, there is some other news we should go over when things calm down, maybe after the opening session, just because, who was it? It was Hassett. Is Navarro scheduled to speak today? I know Hassett was speaking, so we can check out some of that interview, just because every single day we're getting an update, and then the next day it's contradicted, and then that contradiction is contradicted the next day, and then the contradiction to the contradiction is once again contradicted the next day. We're just like, it's this horrible ping pong back and forth, and it's tough to stomach, but it just is what it is. Okay, as we are waiting for the market to open, remember, I really don't think you have much of a statistical advantage trading this early in the day. So a quick shout out to today's stream sponsor. I'm talking about Public. Folks, I've said this a gazillion times. If you're not on Public, what in the world are you doing? If you are an options trader, this, in my humble opinion, is the best place to be an options trader. It is no commission fees, no per contract fees, but the best thing is you get a rebate. Every single options contract you trade, doesn't matter if it's a call or put, doesn't matter if you're buying or selling, every single time you trade an options contract, you get a rebate. So if you're an options trader or an aspiring options trader, this is the place to be, because there's no other brokerage that gives you a rebate, pays you a rebate every single time you trade an options contract. So regardless of if you're profitable, great, you'll be more profitable because of the added rebate. If you're not profitable, well, the pain will be a little bit less, because at least you're still getting those rebates. So there are tier systems to how much your rebate's going to be. If you want to start off at a higher tier, use the link pinned to the top of chat and in the description of the video. You're going to start off at a higher tier. This is the only brokerage I know of that pays you a rebate, which is why it's my favorite place to trade. And that's exactly why I have multiple six figures on this brokerage trading with them, because why would I not do the easy money play and get extra rebates every single time I trade? On top of it, of course, you could trade equities. They don't engage in payment for order flow. Yes, they have crypto trading, they have bond trading, they have retirement accounts, they have high yield accounts. This is a one-stop shop for what you need. I highly recommend you guys check it out. Pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. Make sure you use that specific link, because it's going to be associated with the show, and that's how they know that they could start you off at the higher tier of those rebates. Obviously, shout out to Public for not only being partnered up with us now for a long time, but sponsoring this particular show. And how's the market doing? Well, looks like we really didn't miss much. So out of the gate, this is not going to surprise you that the delta flow is to the downside. The Mag 7, it was down, popped a little bit, but it looks like it's giving it back. What do we have specifically going on? I see it's more of calls dropped on the Mag 7. The puts are pretty flat. Let's look at the S&P 500 just to see. It's more so calls, the call delta. Remember, you have 0 DTE calls, which is the green, and then you have all expirations put together, and for the calls, that would be the orange. So I'm seeing more of the call delta drop. So we do have some people locking in their profits from the pump over the weekend. Right here, you just saw literally 1 minute into the day, the call delta just dropped like no other, while the put delta has been kind of actually relatively tame, not really moving much. So even that, it's really just not much of a movement. So as of now, and obviously this can change on a moment's notice, it does seem like it's more of the call side of the options chain that's moving the market rather than the puts. It's not like people are loading up on puts here. It's more so it appears as of now that they're kind of hitting the cash register and locking in their profits. Like I said, we are opening up at that key level. If you are for some reason fading this, I would say pay attention to the next key open interest level, which is 5425. That's a key options level, and we see some interesting transitions, starting of a transition there between the delta and the gamma on the 0 DT. So if you do have a downside target, I'd be watching 5425, but be careful. Don't overstay your welcome, because it could easily bounce there, bringing us back up to roughly where we opened at 5455. So For me, I'm not playing this downside. I don't think that in the short-term active trading, at least as of now, that's necessarily the direction that I want to be aligned with. But who knows? Maybe this continues to unravel, and maybe that is the smart play of the day. You never know the next bar. You don't know if the next bar is going to be that red dagger that takes out all the support, Or is it going to be that green God candle and we start to rip back? So calm, cool, collected. Let's let the opening session really play itself out. Looks like a lot of people are taking this pop up on Apple as their opportunity to lock in some of those gains. I'm surprised. Apple, it is crazy when you have the world's biggest company. Well, at one point the sell-off recently was so extreme it dropped down to number 2. Regardless, it's the top 3 company with a gap up of 5%. And then right away, people are saying, nope, we want off this Looney Tunes ride, and they're locking in their gains early this morning. But let's see. Time will tell. What I'm majorly waiting for, not necessarily from where we're moving from minute to minute. Remember, right now with these ranges, it's just such insanity. There is a downside gap fill right now to Friday's high, April 11th, at 5381 on SPX. So you have this downside gap fill right here. But then you also have this upside gap fill to 5571. So we're kind of awkwardly, it's almost like 100 points below us, there's a gap fill, and 100 points above us, there's a gap fill, at least as of market open. So paying attention to that upside gap fill, downside gap fill, we're going to find out which one is filled first. And who knows, maybe it's going to be a crazy day that we fill both of them. I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine, but I just wanted to call that out from a pure technical perspective. We do have 2 very evident gaps. If you're looking for the equivalent on the SPY, I would say you want to pay attention to the downside gap fill at 536.43. Once again, Friday's high. And then on Wednesday, April the 2nd's low, that's the upside gap fill at 55481. Remember, when you're looking at this, it's more useful for you to know the SPX numbers, because when we're seeing sometimes you're trading SPY and you're like, dude, that was like a really random trade, or a really random pivot point or bounce or rejection. Remember, no big money is trading the SPY. Big money trades the actual market, the actual SPX. SPY is the ETF created to track the SPX. So this is much more of a retail-centric product. So I find life is far, far easier knowing the key levels on SPX, because those key levels are what big money is going to react to. They're not reacting to the major levels on SPY. If you just look at the dollar volume traded per day in those 2 products, it is far, far, far larger on SPX. So I'm not saying you should trade SPX. I'm just saying pay attention to the SPX levels at a minimum, because they're generally far more influential and far more pivotal and important than the actual SPY counterpart. So trade what you want, but obviously pay attention to where the big money is. It's big money that moves this market. It's not, retail traders don't move this market. Yeah, once in a while you get kind of the crazy circumstances where all of retail is focusing on one small thing, such as GameStop or AMC. Yeah, and then there's quite a bit of influence. But when you're talking about the overall market, or when you're talking about an environment like now where there's no singularly large community of retail all focusing on one specific thing, retail just doesn't have that much firepower behind them to move the market. So it's going to be far better for you in your trading career to really focus on what the big money focuses on. So in this particular example, big money focuses on SPX. They don't really focus on SPY. And obviously all the trade data shows that. It's just SPX is one of the largest, most liquid products, and SPY is large and it's liquid, but they're trading SPX. Goldman Sachs CEO Solomon, what was this? We just got an update. Goldman Sachs obviously reported earnings this morning. I want to know what he's saying. The market on open imbalance was bullish. We got some positive numbers there. Anyway, the Goldman Sachs CEO Solomon, I'm encouraged by Trump's more gradual tariff process. So I guess Goldman Sachs trying to give a nod to the administration. I wouldn't really necessarily call this gradual. I would call this whole thing very, very painfully chaotic. But right now, this morning, we are seeing that sell-off. We hit that first bear target, the 5425. If this keeps going, the next reasonable level would be 5,400 flat, key technical level, key psychological level, and most importantly for today, it's a key open interest level. There's a lot of options action right there. If we go all the way down to it, that would be a bit of a bummer for me, just because that means we're just getting stair-stepped all the way down, which makes it very painful. There is the downside gap fill to what value? 5381. So that might be a little bit of a 19-point overshoot. And remember though, this white box is the transitional zone. I would argue above it, the bulls are still in control. So I get that we're trending down right now, but just from an options perspective on the 0 DTE basis, this to me is the bullish zone. This to me is the bearish zone. So I'm looking to see if maybe all these profit takers, I mean, this is a very systematic walk down. We could probably even see it in the options market. Here's a look at the Mag 7. Oh, that was not systematic. Someone literally started puking at 939. Look at this. Options choppy for the first 20 minutes. And then someone at 939 really, like, they just started puking a position in tech. Oh, and it was all these calls. So someone got, the put delta did drop a little bit, probably some new put positions, but it's more of a lot of calls got puked. A lot of calls got puked. 20 minutes into the day, this was just an absolute capitulation. So some player not really happy with the current setup. On the other side, looking at the S&P 500, we saw a puke, and then we got that a puke a couple minutes earlier at 936. Remember, the Mag 7 puked at 939. But really, ever since then, the SPY's just been flat. So it appears, and you'd have to check the change in open interest, it appears that there was a lot of profit taking right at market open. No one's really touching these puts. It's more so their calls, the call delta is dropping. So as of now, my best guess, given the current setup, is just a lot of profit taking out of the gate that has really just not subsided. Unfortunately, there's so much profit taking that the 5-minute is breaking down below its EMAs, and then so is the 10-minute. Looking at the Nasdaq, same situation, 5-minute and 10-minute are breaking down. The 30 minutes trying to hold, so hopefully that one doesn't break down. Obviously it might. Your guess is going to be as good as mine, but we've just had, really since market open, we are just puking, and the puke really does seem to be just profit taking. People with this amount of green for whatever reason, I mean, look how perfect that's getting walked down. We're not seeing it so systematically perfect in the options market, but the actual price just puke, flat, and then just walking it down. So I hope that we get a bounce somewhere in here. I would love for SPX to stay above 5,400. I would obviously love a recapture 5,425, but really what I want to see a test of is kind of where we opened up today. So not only is that naturally important because it's the intraday high, but it's just a key technical level. So I would love for all this profit taking to just stop and just chill out for a second. But the Mag 7 really puked there at 939. Like, it was looking fine, and then a bunch of calls got dumped. Dropping the delta. SPY's trying to pick up right now. Puked, flat. Now we're seeing a little bit of an upswing, and it just happens to be perfectly correlated with the first major green bar of the day, perchance. What do we have? MSTR is up the most. Oh, nope, that's a lie. Apple, Palantir's up really nice right now. Palantir's up 5.6%, but it all looks the same. Everything had a nice gap up. So we're seeing a lot of green in terms of the daily change, but intraday, ever since like the first minute or two, we've definitely seen some I guess profit taking. But let's see, maybe 944 represents the low of the day. Maybe. I mean, I guess that's a good question for all of you guys. I know we're just guessing here, so no one should be trading off of this. But how many people, your gut feeling right now is telling you that 944 is the low of the day and the dip to be bought? Or do you think this is just a little bit of a dead cat bounce and we're about to get faded? So that's the question. 944, is it the low of the day, or do you think that there's more pain to be coming? Hey, Matt, got my bonus Friday, hoping for a dip buy opportunity. Best of luck. Definitely not an easy market environment, I would argue. Bargains. Can you look at Webull? What do you mean look at Webull? What would I be looking at? I don't understand some of these questions. Low of the day, more pain, dead cat. It's the low. No lower today. I think the gap will fill. Well, there's a gap up and down. So I don't know which gap you're talking about. There's both a gap to the upside and a gap to the downside. And maybe they both get filled today. I don't know. It's going to crash and burn. I don't think that, at least not today. Things aren't really structured for some massive Webull IPO. Oh, okay. I wouldn't touch it just because it's a Chinese company. And right now, if we're actively fighting with China, like there's a lot of political risk to that. So it's a play that I'm not interested in. Yes, okay. They're IPOing. I never play IPOs, and that's one, like, IPOs are just kind of a crapshoot. And by the time it's actually hitting the public market, like making its debut, you're trading it at such a high value relative to where all the rich people got into it at. So generally it's not advantageous, and there's just a lot of volatility. And I don't think there's, you really have a systematic edge there. I think you're just truly gambling, firing from the hip. And that's true in a general sense. And then in this sense, why would I do that? Like in this particular one, when IPOs are already like kind of a high volatility, kind of like a crazy thing, a crazy environment to play. On top of all of that, you're adding in the political risk of it is a Chinese company, and right now we are actively in a massive trade war with China. So I'm just not going to do it. I'd buy puts on IPOs. Generally, the options market's not even like live yet when it comes out. Generally, and this isn't always true, but generally you need a little bit more of time for the market makers to build out the option chain. Webull is not Chinese. D-Mesh, how much do you want to bet? D-Mesh is in chat right now saying Webull is not Chinese, LOL, what the fuck? How much you want to bet? Bet me $1,000. Bet me $10,000. Bet me $100,000. D-Mesh, seriously, how... First of all, it's weird that you would think that I'm just arbitrarily getting this thing wrong out of everything. You think I'm just randomly making up this. But D-Mesh, tell me how much you want to bet. I will bet literally any number you say. Any number you say, I will bet that, and then we could even 10x it. This is what I don't get, is so many people, they approach the markets the way they approach life in a way that they just think that they are right. Like, they're like, nope, I came up with this random idea and I have to be right. Like, dude, literally just fucking Google it. Come on, D-Mesh. Tell me how much you want to bet. You went quiet on me there. You went quiet on me there, buddy. Cat got your tongue? You don't want to make a bet here? Webull is a Chinese-owned company. Specifically, it is owned by Fumi Technology, a Chinese holding company. Yeah, I mean, it literally takes 10 seconds of research to realize that it's a Chinese company. And it's not like a hidden thing. You think you're right, LOL. I don't think I'm right. I literally know I'm right. I find it endlessly interesting that we do have people, though, like, so confident. It's not Chinese. You're dumb. LOL. It's like, dude, like, and then of course he just goes quiet. Is he still in chat? Come on, D-Mesh. Where are you at, buddy? Where are you at, buddy? Did he leave chat? We lost him. We're gonna have to get his picture and put him on a milk carton. We're going to have to put it on a milk carton one of these days just to see what's going on, to see if we can find him. But MIA, D-Mesh, he got delisted. Is it actually trading right now, the IPO? Weibo Corporation, what's it valued at? It's going crazy. What's the actual value, the market cap? It's only, this can't be right. $200 million. That doesn't seem right. This, I would expect to be worth quite a bit more than 200. I think maybe because it is day one that it, like, just the metrics aren't there. Obviously, this percentage gain isn't real because it just started trading. Well, I want to make it clear, I would not trade this. Like, I have it up just because we're talking about it, but trading IPOs is a very much like a losing game. In all of my years of doing this, I've really never stumbled across a single person who's like, yeah, I just trade day one of every IPO and I'm like crushing it. It's more of a 50-50 crapshoot than anything else. And generally you're overpaying. Because all like just the way IPOs work. The rich people, the banks, the hedge funds, they're in at a far, far less of a price. And then they're just looking for it to rip. And they're basically hoping that retail traders are like the dumb people buying it at a premium and continuing to pump it up. So just by definition, you really are most likely overpaying. Did we ever find him? Is D-Mesh? Would you buy a new IPO for long term? I would. I would still expect it though. I wouldn't like. Okay, let's say I'm allocating a certain amount of money to that play. I wouldn't do it all on the day of the IPO. If I did it, it would probably be more to say like, hey, I've been in this stock since day one, but I would still mentally anticipate a drop in price somewhere in the first couple trading days or weeks, where I would then use the rest of my money and buy the position, like the full position that I actually want. So something like SpaceX, yeah, I would be interested in that. But once again, I would still be mentally prepared that's going to drop. And that's where I would use the leftover money to like actually complete my full position. It's going nuts right now. Huge range. I mean, it went from 26 all the way up to 32, down to 26, all the way back up to 33. So like huge range. And hey, if you're taking advantage of it, I mean, good luck. I mean, I don't want you guys to lose money. It's just not my play. Like you kind of have to know where you have advantages, where you have a skill set, and trading new IPOs is not it for me. If for whatever reason, if you have this uncanny skill set that you're always crushing those, oh, awesome. Have at it. Don't let me stop you. If you're continually making money doing that type of a thing, don't let me stop you whatsoever. On the flip side, if you're continually over the long run seeing your account go down and down and down, it might just be time to switch things up a little bit. Anyway, coming back to the options flow, the Mag 7 still getting severely hit. It looks like it's a lot of call selling. Yeah, look at this. No one's touching puts really, at least, of course, there's some people touching puts. I don't really mean that literally. There was a chunk of puts just purchased at 953, but more so the trend we see is in calls. It looks like a lot of calls are getting offloaded. Same thing in the, oh no, different. S&P 500 is legit popping now. So the, S&P 500 puked until about 936, stumbled a little bit, and then it had a clear turning point at 944, and now it's just popping. What do we have here? We have people, the call delta is popping, and so is the put delta. So most likely it's people hemorrhaging on their puts saying, hey, we got to get out, and then getting back into calls, which was a clear change of tune after the first 10 to 15 minutes of the day. Calls got dumped, but you can see right here now they're swinging back up. So a little bit of a low point. So my best estimation of what's going on is literally we just had people locking in their profits, and then other people said, okay, cool, that's done with, and now it's time for the party. And it's attempting to pick up. I think it would pick up better if the Mag 7 didn't look like such trash, which right now, same thing. All these calls are getting dumped and someone just got into put. So it looks like the tech sector is having a little bit of an issue, but the overall market right now, that's some legit strength. So the question is, who is right? Is the SPY going to be so strong that it starts to bring the Mag 7 up, or is the Mag 7 going to be so weak that it starts to drag the SPY down? You don't know who's going to be, what particular asset class is going to be stronger or weaker on any given basis, but right now there's obviously a clear mismatch. The 5-minute and the 10-minute looks like it saved itself. The 10-minute puked on the S&P 500, and then now it's trying to hang back like up here, like it's trying to not actually break down. While the 5-minute's just testing, so it's indecisive. Pretty much the same situation on the Nasdaq. The 5-minute, we are just below the cloud, while the 10-minute is below, but it was almost just back up there. So I'd be interested to see if it can actually start to push this level. If you're trading NQ, that's roughly 19,000, I don't know, 110, 120, something like that. Bull just got halted. Obviously, it's just a circuit breaker halt. Remember, the circuit breaker halt rules are different for individual equities than they are for the overall market. So for something like the S&P 500 to halt, it's a completely different set of rules than something like strategy or Webull or NVIDIA or Palantir. when you're talking about individual equities, you have the LULD, limit up, limit down rules. With something like the overall market, yes, it still has circuit breakers, but it's just a completely different set of rules. And right here, what this is basically it just moved too far in too short of a time period that it had just a volatility halt. Remember, this isn't for the bulls or the bears specifically. You can halt in both directions for individual equities. So if you move too far in either direction, bullish or bearish, in too short of a time period, and that time period is specifically 5 minutes. So it basically right here, this pump up, it just pushed it outside of its volatility band to the bullish side. But the same thing could also be said true to the downside. Looks like it had another halt here at 9:32. So this appears to be the second halt of the day for Webull. But once again, it cuts both ways. I know in the retail trading space, a lot of people think that they only do it to screw over the bulls and like, hey, you got a stock and it's ripping, why would you halt it? It cuts both ways. And it's not like a human gets to decide when it's halted or not. It's all algorithmic. It's all there's a perfect math model to it that is all publicly available. You could search it. It's to the point that people have indicators on their chart showing you where it will or won't halt, and it's dynamically updated throughout the day. So there's really not like any there's nothing hidden about it. We know exactly when and where all of these things are going to halt, if they are going to halt. And like, once again, it almost looks like bands on your chart. You could throw those up on your chart, and if you puncture it and then it stays there for, I think, 10 or 15 seconds, then that prompts the halt. How do the S&P 500 options look now? All right, here's a look at the S&P 500. Kind of curling back down. So price is flat. We saw options pump up until about 9:55. We're turning back around. I hope that we're getting that nice 10 a.m. reversal. The issue here is the Mag 7 was flat until about 9:40. The first 10 minutes we didn't move. And then for whatever reason, someone started hemorrhaging their calls. And that really hurt the delta, which is kind of part of this. Webull started trading again. Bull, if you will. Bull. So just in case you're joining, there's a weird amount of people in chat saying that Webull is not a Chinese company. It is a Chinese company, and why that's important is because unless you've been living under a rock, you know that we are literally in a trade war with China. And even a couple days ago, we had commentary from the administration that everything's on the table, and then the reporter asked, including delisting Chinese companies. He's like, yeah, it's on the table. We might do it. So to me, not only do I just not enjoy trading IPOs because you have no data to go off of, I'm a very data-driven trader. So inherently, when a company makes its debut to the market, by definition, you just have the least data possible because it just started trading. So I don't like it because of that reason. And then on top of it, with Webull, you're taking on extra risk right now because we don't know which way this trade war is going to go. You don't know if something is going to get delisted, not delisted. So that's why I would definitely exercise some extra caution. But hey, once again, I'm not your mom. Do what you want. It's your money. And whatever you decide to do with your money, I hope you crush it. I hope you make a lot of money. Yes, Webull. Yeah, I'm informed that I get that it's a Chinese company, but D-Mesh is in here saying it didn't. Why didn't it halt? Why didn't it halt on pause announcement? I don't know what that means. The overall market has different halt rules than individual equities. They're two completely different rule systems of why it does or doesn't halt. And even that, what's weird is you could actually look at the futures market, which has different halt rules than something like the actual index. So you have to kind of know the product that you're trading and then the rules for that particular product. The D-Mesh growth arc is heartwarming. Dang, it is Chinese held company, even though registered in the U.S. Well, of course it has to be registered in the U.S. How do you think you could be a U.S. brokerage? No shit, Sherlock. To be a broker in the U.S., yes, you have to be registered. Like, this might knock your socks off, but Moomoo, M-O-O-M-O-O, Moomoo, another Chinese company, but to be a broker in the U.S., of course you have to be... You think under U.S. law, we allow them to be registered somewhere else and allow people to trade here? No. Obviously, you still have to be like within the U.S.'s rules and regulations and all that stuff. Of course, they're registered here. Obviously, no duh, dude. All right. Well, choppiness since then. Damn, though, that is some range. 26 up to 39. 26 up to 39. It's interesting to watch. I'll be very clear here. I'm not going to trade it, but hey, whatever you're doing, I hope it makes you happy, and more important than that, I hope it makes you a lot of money. Options are now flat on the S&P 500, and they are flat but pretty bearish on the Mag 7. Here's a look at the 30-second. Flat, huge puke, and now flat again. Once again, this is the combo of Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. The Mag 7, which is actually the cheapest it's been trading at in years now in this particular group. But why this is so important is this grouping of 7 companies, it makes up a huge aspect of the overall S&P 500 and also the overall NASDAQ 100. So that's why a lot of people watch that specifically, just because of how much this grouping, it's weighted like 30% of the entire market. So important to pay attention to. Important. Looks like we're trying to recapture VWAP here.
Order submitted.
All right, we're going for it. Recently, I was on a pretty good streak with trading futures. And then on Friday, with all that volatility, I even was kind of joking with you guys. I was like, man, today's going to be bullish and I'm still going to get whipped out of it. And that's exactly what happened. My prediction on the day was accurate, but then because of the drawdown rules in futures trading, I just got my ass handed to me. So I'm trying to approach it right now, this high volatility environment. And I keep kind of tinkering with my method of the best way to grow the buffer, because you need a big buffer to be able to survive the swings in the market, because we are literally swinging like 50, 100 points in just minutes. So you could even...
Order filled.
All right, literally as I'm talking.
Order canceled.
What I want to do is be... I guess I don't exactly know the right way to articulate it, but what I'm trying to do is being a lot more measured about my profits until I build up an even bigger buffer than I possibly think. But you can see it right there in extreme volatility. If you're on the right side of it, you can make money, and you can make money fast. Right there, I just made $20K, $1,000 per account on all 20 accounts. These are brand new accounts, but then I've been trading the same take profit accounts. So right here, you can see I have 5. So these are ones that I could actually take the money out of today. So basically 25 different accounts, $1,000, and that trade took me from 10:03 to 10:03. So literally how I was in that trade for 49 seconds. I was in that. I made $25,000 in 49 seconds. Classic breakout. And I just had that measured target. Boom. A 49-second trade. 49 seconds to make $25,000. But anyway, I feel like I've been taking too big of swings lately, especially with the volatility. And I feel like I've also been over trading, and I feel like I've been trading early. So I was doing a lot of my trade journal review over the weekend. So what I'm going to try to do is hold myself accountable to wait till after 10 a.m. to trade. Ideally, I just go for this. Like this. To get these accounts off the ground, what I just did is what I want to do for the first 8 days, which is the first trading cycle. All I want to do is as soon as I see $1,000, take it and move on. So I would appreciate it if you guys could help me out in the first trading cycle, the first 8 trading days. If you see me trading before 10 a.m., yell at me. If you see me with a profit over $1,000 and not taking it, yell at me. If you see me going completely against the trend of the day, and really we could define that as the 10-minute and the 30-minute of like the movement of those guys, yell at me. So what I want to do is I think the only way to be potentially successful in this environment is you have to have a little bit of luck And the only way your luck is going to have enough time to shine through is to be absurdly disciplined. And I feel like even the last cycle, I was very disciplined, but it wasn't enough. I have no one to blame but myself. It was just 100% my fault. So like I'm really trying to come up with like a just granite set of rules that I don't deviate from. And what I would love to do is just, once again, the perfect situation is I wait till past 10 a.m. I trade with trend. I make my 50 points, my $1,000, and then I shut it down. Historically, that's when I had my biggest success, is when I make my money and I just leave. So it's on that particular note that basically I'm just going to shut this down. As I'm explaining the strategy and everything to you, as I'm explaining this all to you, I'm canceling the orders. So I just want to make sure I don't have any like rogue orders or anything like that. And I just want to shut it down because the times that I've had a long sustained success when actively trading, day trading the futures market is exactly when I get in, I make my trade, and then I move on with my life. So that's the plan. And we're going to see. Obviously, day one was a success, and we'll have to wait till tomorrow to see if day two is going to be a success. But even look at that. If I took that trade and I was holding and expecting it to keep going, even this pullback, like I'd be like, dude, come on. I'd be like sweating it. I'd be like, oh, like, should I move it to break even? Is it going to wick me out? It's just, I feel like last week I was doing a lot of conversation with you guys of like, is it going to wick me out? Is it going to wick me out? Is it going to wick me out? And then inevitably it did. And before you know it, you lose a K, you lose a K, you lose a K. And before you know it, you're down 4 or 5K, which like, it's tough to get those buffers built. But the trade, this 49-second trade that made me $25,000, it was a basic VWAP trade right here. In the short term, we see some higher highs, we see some higher lows. We go up to VWAP, it gets smacked. We have a little bit of a bull flag, a bull pennant, whatever you want to call it. Both are technically true. But on this recapture of VWAP, I went long, well-defined risk, quickly pops in my favor. I make my money. And then the key here is just shutting it the fuck down. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to shut it down. Boom. I just got to be way better of protecting myself from myself. So right there, just shut it down. Wow, bull is still going. It looks like it's even halted again. But what I'm looking for is, we kind of talked about these levels. Let me just kind of make this a bit cleaner. So we opened up here at a key level. We puked down to the next key level, a little bit of an overshoot, dancing around at this. Once again, it's a major open interest level, not as big as some of the other ones, but 5425. It is a clear open interest level. We pumped right up off of it. Surprise, surprise, right back up to the next key level. This might not make sense to everyone, but I think this is going to resonate with a few of you. I view active trading as a game of just key levels, and the in-between just doesn't matter. It's like, identify key levels of support or resistance for whatever reason, whether it's technical, option-driven, it's just what astrology told you to pay attention to that day, whatever it is. Identify the key levels that for whatever reason mean something to you, like that you think mean something to the market. And then in between that, you're just doing nothing. You're either at a key level or you're not. So you're either breaking out or breaking down of a key level, or you're just in no man's land in between, which is why in between all these levels, I always just say, what's the bull case? What's the bear case? We opened up at a key level. All right, obvious. We have a bull case all the way up to 5,500, and we have a bear case all the way down to 5,425. Guess what? That hit. All right, then we're dancing around at this level, dancing around at this level. Then what? Okay, you have either bull case here, bear case. That's what I'm saying is, you want to have both cases very well defined in your mind. At whatever the current situation is, ask yourself, what's the bull case? What's the bear case? I think it's a very good thought exercise to not only run through it so you can see, okay, like, what would the bulls be looking for right here? What would the bears be looking for in one of your own trades? It prompts you to appreciate, if things go wrong, what would it look like? And ideally, you can cut your bad trades even earlier. So right here, we popped all the way up. Guess what? On the breakout, that's the bull case. On the rejection, this is the bear case. It's just, you want to have that bull case and bear case, because then you're not going to be, first of all, married to your bias. The fact that you're going through the thought process to ask yourself, okay, like, if it goes wrong, what does it look like? What's my risk? What are these other players looking for? The fact that you're kind of almost stepping out of your own bias. It's going to keep you, I would say, a lot more emotionally neutral and a little bit more honest, rather than like that tilted trading that like it literally happens to the best of us. So I think that's like one benefit of it. And then the second benefit is, as things develop, you already know exactly what to do. You don't have to sit there and be like, okay, like what's the next level? What should I do? What should I not do? The fact that you've already put in that work, well, you know exactly what to do. Like you already have the plan, and then you can react and enact that plan rapidly, besides saying, oh, wow, we're breaking down. Like, what should I do now? Like you already know what to do. So I think hopefully maybe not everyone's going to trade like that, but I do think that is a pretty reasonable way to approach the market. MicroStrategy looking good. I would love that breakout. Palantir is also looking good percentage wise, not really intraday. Tesla had a nice balance. MicroStrategy was picking up. NVIDIA is not looking the best. I guess Bull is the exciting one. It's not actually up 243%. This is just, once again, the numbers get crunched a little bit in a strange manner when things first IPO. But obviously, this thing is pumping from 26 up to 44, 45. If you do have to engage in this, I would actually say it's better to be an active trader on it, rather than like, oh, I'm just going to get in and swing trade it, and I hope I made a good investment. I guess I should clarify my words before when I was saying, oh, I won't touch it. That was from an investment perspective. If you're an active trader and you're like, hey man, I just need like volatility or something to trade off of, well, congrats. You're getting movement, you're getting volatility. So if you're like just a short-term scalp trader and you're like, no, I want to take that breakout and risk the recent low and see if it pops. Okay, like that's just active trading. There's not much difference. Like that's a thing that's moving a lot. Sorry, I didn't think I forgot that I already shut down the futures account. Once again, like it's just, that's just active trading. As an active day trader, scalp trader, you just need things that move. So if this, I guess, fits the bill, if it checks all the major important things for you of what you care about for your active trading, have at it, man. Like I'll fully admit that this clearly has range, this clearly has movement, has a lot of liquidity, has a lot of eyeballs on it. So if you get on the right side of a little intraday trend, yeah, you can make some decent money. But once again, it's just not my personal thing of like what I'm particularly interested in. How's the options doing? All right, we'll take a look. So here, let me go to the 30 second. It might make it a little bit more evident. So the SPY vomited, went flat, started picking up at 944, pumped, a little bit of a pullback, flat, pumped again, a little bit of a pullback, flat, just looking for that cycle to continue. Pump, pullback, flat, pump, pullback, flat. So pump, well, right here, pullback, flat, looking for another pump, another follow through here, which would be aligned with, okay, we're maybe bouncing a little bit early off of support, but I'm looking for it to take out 5,455, which is effectively the recent high and the intraday high. But what I'm really looking for is for the market to get on top of these levels and then cruise all the way up to 5,500. That's the major bull case. Is it going to happen? I think it's a very decent probability pathway. Of course, it's not a guarantee, but that is what I would be personally looking for today, is for us to take out this key level, for us to take out the intraday high, and then just get this follow through up to 5,500. But for that to happen, the Mag 7 options flow needs to stop looking like shit. We were flat, huge puke. Looks like we got a big pop here at 10:03, which is actually the trade that I was able to take advantage of. That's what I made the 25K. It popped flat. We're a little bit of a puke here, but what I like is it appears to be a higher low. So maybe we have a little bit of a constructive look. It looks a little bit confused, maybe not necessarily knowing what it wants to do, but it's definitely not looking as bearish as it did for the first 30 minutes of the day. The Mag 7 did nothing, and then it got horrifically hit, and then out of nowhere, there was a lot of a pop here at 10:03 or something like that, around 10:04, which, hey, sometimes you get lucky. So I got in right before that happened, and obviously I was able to get my money and get out while the getting was good. But just as many times as you're going to get arbitrarily lucky, hey, the longer you trade, and trust me, every trader knows this, the longer you trade, you're also going to get like arbitrarily unlucky. It really does just kind of balance itself out. So I'm just waiting. This was a nice pump though. 10:02, 10:03, like basically from 10:02 to 10:05, we saw a really nice pop. Obviously, it's getting faded a little bit in real time. Intraday, MicroStrategy is probably looking the strongest of the major tech plays. Percentage-wise, Palantir's up the most. Even Apple's up a decent chunk, but it's seemingly, we have a lot of these major tech names giving back some of their gains, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Potentially putting in a lower high here. Obviously, we pumped to about 10.05, and right here we tried to bounce. It was a weak bounce, but basically, I either want to see the SPY break above 542 or break down below 540. I want to see the Qs take out 462, or I want to see the Qs break down below 459. So just kind of watching some of these recent swing points. Looks like Webull Corporation halted once again. Halt. Like this might be the third or fourth halt. It's definitely at least the third, but maybe I missed one. Maybe there was like a fourth halt in there. But Webull going absolutely nutty right now. Can we please get a real quick dump on the S&P 500, then a pump? I would love a pump. I would love it, but something's going on. I mean, well, right now, actually, the options flow got a little bit lethargic right here. We just kind of fell over. We had a nice pump to the upside, and then that party stopped at 10.09, and then we sold, and then a little bit of a baby bounce, but really we're just selling again. Looking at the Mag 7, nothing, huge puke, big pop, and then the pop, obviously, as of now, not holding, but let's wait and see. Wait and see. Wait and see, wait and see, wait and see. How many? I think this might be the fourth halt of the day. Maybe even more. Does anyone know how many halts Bull has had? Does anyone know how many halts it's had? So far, the guy that spent $850K has lost half on what? So far, the guy that spent $850K on Webull? Trump talks at 11. He is talking, maybe not necessarily about the tariff situation, but I think something with the president from El Salvador. And then again at 3. So Trump will have public commentary today. Will the public commentary be about tariffs? I mean, who knows? You'd have to be Trump to know what you are or aren't going to say. But yeah, there's going to be some news-related risk for sure. We're also expecting it's being stated that we are expecting to get more clarity on the whole what's going on with the Chinese electronic tariff situation, because there was quite a bit of whipsaw over the weekend. So depending on if that clarity and update is positive, yeah, we could have a huge pop. But obviously then if it cuts so strong one way, it can obviously cut so strong the other way as well. So just be prepared for that. Just because he's talking doesn't mean it's bullish. Just because he's talking doesn't mean it's bearish. It just means get ready for craziness. Time to fill the gap, it seems. Once again, there's a gap to the upside and a gap to the downside. So what gap are you talking about? There are two gaps that are both fairly in play today, to the point that they actually might both get filled today. You don't know. But there are two gaps that definitely you should be paying attention to. And if you don't know what they are, it's right here. Downside gap fill to Friday's high at 5,381. And then there's an upside gap fill to the low from 2 Wednesdays ago at 5,572. So 5,572 and 5,381. Upside gap fill, downside gap fill. And as of now, we're kind of awkwardly in no man's land. But as that's happening, vol is collapsing. The VIX punctured that low that we saw on Wednesday. So I'm looking for it to maybe come all the way down sub 30. That'd be pretty cool. Would love for that to puke. And then UVXY. This is a play that I'm in, somehow not at the low from Wednesday, which I really don't understand that. But maybe it's just the strange way in which this product is made. That's a bit of a bummer. I was really hoping that UVXY would be puking. I have some vol puts, as in I'm betting on vol coming down. And it's coming down, but just not, I guess, as aggressively as I thought it would. Okay, a little bit of a maybe double, triple, quadruple bottom here in the SPY. Maybe a little bit of a triple bottom here in the Qs. A little bit of a bounce off of 460. Looks like the SPY kind of hanging out around 540, finding a bit of support here ever since 942. Let's see if this bounce has any legs. Looking at the options flow, here's a quick peek at the S&P 500. A little bit of a pullback till about 1018. Now it's showing a bit of life. Looking at the Mag 7. Ooh, well, at least it's not a fresh low, but overall that is not a positive trend. Let me check. I do have one other tool I could look at. Hang on one second. Okay, this other tool I have is basically suggesting a nothing day as of now. Of course, on news, people might be placing new trades, but the current trend is basically saying we're going to close out the day somewhere below 5,500 and somewhere above 5,350, which is a large range, but it's right as of right now, the positioning is not for some as of now. And once again, with these tariffs, I'm always hesitant to try to not make statements really like that, because I know it could be misconstrued, but it's just based on this current data, which is dynamic and it could change because we live in such a highly volatile time. It doesn't look like we're really scheduled for that nice big trend day. But we're also in an environment where we don't know if major news is coming out. And if it does, that news could be the thing prompting the trend. So you basically just have to have on your favorite news source and pay attention to it. And whatever the fastest news is you can get, definitely be paying attention. But I do want to let you know, in general, obviously, this is a nice gap up, generally favoring the bulls. The 0DTE options chain, as of this morning, was call dominated. Once again, a little bit favoring the bulls. Looking at price momentum, 5-minute and 10-minute are choppy, break even. 30-minute and 4-hour are bullish. 5-minute and 10-minute are choppy sideways. 30-minute and 4-hour are bullish on the NASDAQ. So I would say these medium time frames, the short time frame is saying we don't know what the fuck's going on. The medium time frame is saying the bulls are in control. The options chain for the 0DTE is saying the bulls are in control. For the remainder of the week, Tuesday and Wednesday, they're also bullish. Thursday, the conclusion of the week, is actually put dominated, but not by much. I'm trying to think of anything else. So we went over the puts, the momentum. Oh, and then the other thing really of just the day is the option flow. And I would say the SPY was bullish, now flat, while the MAG 7 was bearish, now flat. So we're kind of getting mixed signals from the options flow for the bets on the overall market versus the MAG 7. And I think the play here is as soon as that aligns, if the MAG 7 can pick up, that means everything's aligning in the short term in favor of the bulls. And then that's your opportunity to really strike. And then shout out to my producer who already got these links for me. Trump and El Salvador president meet at White House. Trump holds bilateral talks with El Salvador's president. Okay, so that should be right past 11. So we could stay a little extra long today and just see what is going on. Oh, hell yeah. Texas Roadhouse reached out to me. You could be missing out. Looks like I'm getting a free blooming onion or something from Texas Roadhouse. Man, I knew today was going to be a good day. That's awesome. Like I woke up and I knew something awesome was going to happen. And I know some of you might be thinking that, hey, Matt, you made $25,000 in 49 seconds. That's the awesome thing. And I'm not saying that that's not awesome. That is really cool. But the fact that I get a free app from Texas Roadhouse, like it's just fucking today's turning up, Matt. It really, really is. It's just turning up, Matt. Like, I knew it. There was something in the ether where I was like, dude, I know I'm going to get blessed today. And the fact that I just got an email for a free app, that's so cool. Dude, everything's turning up, Matt, today. Everything's turning up, Matt. It's just like, you could be having the worst day ever, and you just see that email of getting a free app from Texas Roadhouse. Like, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Like, it's so good. Anybody here have Robinhood thinking of switching to it? No, switch to public. Trade on a brokerage where financially it's best for you, and then also it's a company that actually cares about you, the client, the trader, not something like Robinhood or Webull who care about their client, which is the market maker. Definitely go to public. Texas Roadhouse has been getting messed up. Yeah, it's because of manipulation, dude. It's because of dark pools. It's because of just like straight up financial white collar crime. If I were president, and I know a lot of you want me to become president, which I do appreciate your vote. I think the only thing I have a couple major things that I would institute and put into place as president, but one of them would be Texas Roadhouse is not legally allowed to have a down red day. That would be like, you know how everyone's like, oh, like in the first 100 days, like what'd the president do? Day one MK executive order would be that Texas Roadhouse is legally illegal. Like, I would even take this to the Supreme Court. It would be illegal for Texas Roadhouse to have a down day. And I would say every once a week, it could have a net zero day. But the other 4 days of the week, it has to go up. It has to go up. Matt versus Stephen A. Smith, 2028 at Texas Roadhouse. I mean, I'll take on anyone at Texas Roadhouse. We could have a rib eating competition. Remove the PDT rule. I would, but for Texas Roadhouse. I would do everything in my power to just make sure that the entire stock market is built to cater to Texas Roadhouse. PDT, gone for Texas Roadhouse. You want whatever. Maybe instead of 0 DT options, maybe half day options. Like, we'll get even more extreme. Good. We're ripping it. Texas Roadhouse. You don't want to pay capital gains? Great. No capital gains at Texas Roadhouse. You don't want to pay taxes? Great. You don't have to if you've been to Texas Roadhouse. It would just, everything about it would be catered to support Texas Roadhouse. Onions, long onions. Yeah. Onion futures. All good. Texas Roadhouse. Just, it's meals at Texas Roadhouse, all tax deductible. I'm here for the relationship advice. You could get it, and you get even better relationship advice at Texas Roadhouse. I think you guys are starting to understand. Someone asked no Apex today. I actually already did the trade. It's not up now because I was only in for 49 seconds. It was a really fast one, but I made my 25K and I moved on with my life. And by moved on with my life, I basically moved on to telling you guys how much I love Texas Roadhouse. Matt, can you host a show from Texas Roadhouse? I'd be interested in it. Part of me, I have to admit, part of me does believe, like, is it inappropriate because it's just such like holy ground? So I almost, like, in a weird way, don't want to belittle it, but maybe there's a way that you could pull it off that it's like showing your true appreciation. So I would have to figure out the artistic execution of a show from Texas Roadhouse. And it's just like, I'd be really, really nervous because I wouldn't want to falter and like mess it all up and be disrespectful to, like, literally, it's probably the closest thing we have to like heaven on earth. I don't know if we have something that is closer to paradise in the modern era than your local Texas Roadhouse. I mean, I would do disgusting illegal things just to get one of those buns with that cinnamon butter. The things I would do, you guys would look at me differently. You'd be like, holy shit, did he really burn down an entire nation for just a warm basket of those bread rolls? And just a couple extra tablespoons of that cinnamon butter. I mean, what I would do, you guys, it would be bad. Oh yeah, would you kiss a guy, Matt? Hell yeah, for free food from Texas Roadhouse, dude. I'd kiss every guy with tongue involved. I would do tongue involved just to make sure. Even if you guys didn't even say that was a requirement, just to make sure it counts. If we're talking about Texas Roadhouse, dude, you're talking about kissing a dude? I would kill someone for it. And you're drawing the line at kissing a dude? No questions asked. Matt would kiss a guy to get his cum. Jesus. So you're saying I have a chance? Chad's in here. He's like, ooh, opportunity. I wonder if my wife would count that as cheating, though. Like, if my wife saw a picture of me making out with a dude, she'd be like, what the fuck was this? Like, I wonder if she would actually buy that as an excuse. I was like, but no, it was for free Texas Roadhouse. Like, would she still classify that as cheating, or would she understand? I guess there's only one way to find out, you know? As our Lord and Savior Jesus of Nazareth said, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. Only one way to figure this one out. All right, a little bit of a pop. We are potentially seeing some higher lows, but we're also seeing lower highs. So we're just generically in a pain in the ass consolidation. Pain in the butt consolidation. So a weird moment of really not much going on. All right. Basically, for my active traders out there, we're just kind of looking at this very elongated consolidation. Lower highs, higher lows on both the SPY and the Qs. This Qs tried to get going there and then kind of smacked right back down to the trend line. But we're not really confidently breaking out. We're not really confidently breaking down. I would say that the most exciting thing is Webull. Once again, I'm not trading it, but it's just exciting because it has such large range. I mean, it went from 26 all the way up to 51. So damn near doubled up there. So that's kind of exciting. Obviously, if you're trading futures, there's some cool stuff going on there. But I'm kind of happy the way my trade worked out. If I had to sweat through all of that, man, I'd be freaking out. Wait, when did Matt get married? I got married in October for my Spanish speaking audience. Didn't Meredith sleep with a guy for steak coupons on The Office? I haven't seen all The Office. Actually, I've probably, in a non-linear fashion, I probably have, but I don't recall that episode. It's a great show. I love it. If you guys are looking for a good show to watch, you guys should watch The Righteous Gemstones. It's on Max. It's in its 3rd season, and it's one of the funniest shows ever to be created. I got married on October 16th. I got married on October 18th. Did we get married to each other? It Hero, whatever. It Hero, what is your name? There is a chance, the fact that we are 2 days apart, that maybe we married each other. Maybe. Proof or wife? Oh, you wouldn't know my wife. She goes to a different school. She's like from Canada or something. That's why like you haven't seen her around at all. Just like she's real. Like trust me, she's real. She's just not here. She's out on a run, and other times you haven't seen her. She goes to a different school. You wouldn't know her. Like we like met over the summer, like at summer. She's from Canada though, so Canadians, they're sneaky. They like to stay in the shadows. They like to stay hidden. Like it's hard to really lock a Canadian down, I've found, and that's pretty much her. Like you wouldn't. She just goes to a different school, basically. she's just, you know. All right. Qs might be holding their breakout. SPY looks like it's going for its breakout. Webull just popped again. Yeah. She was homeschooled. That's why people in the other school district don't know her either. It's because she's also she was home. She went to a different school district, but within that school district, she was homeschooled, which is why those other people don't know her as well. Yeah, but she's real for sure. She's like pretty much real. Like if you were to round up, she would be real, you know? How long did she take to blow up? All right, the 5 minute is recapturing. So is the 10 and the 30 minute and the 4 hour held bullish that whole time. The 5 minute and the 10 minutes attempting to recapture, 30 minute and 4 hour held bullish that whole time. Coming back to our key levels, we're basically in this painful range. Yes, lower highs, higher lows, but we really 5425s held nicely. Like they puked below it, but then we fought, we bounced off of it, puked back down to it, which coming back to my conversation, just know the key levels. And then in between, it's kind of a no man. It's just a zombie zone. No, it's a no-go. So obviously we popped up. Well, that was a nice short. That was a nice long. That was a nice short. Just ping-ponging between these key levels. And when I say key levels, identify the key psychological levels, identify the key just like support and resistance technical levels, and then I identify the key open interest levels from the options market. Once you have those three pivotal levels, and a lot of the time they do align, so it's not like you have a gazillion different levels, but when you see the overlap between those three psychological, open interest, and then also just previous technical levels of support and resistance, when you see those overlaps, that's how you call that's day in and day out. How am I able to call these levels out? It's because of exactly that. You see the overlap of what is clearly important to the market, and when I define important, it's the overlap of those three things. Alan S. Silly question, but a real one. Never been want to go and planning to go to a Texas Roadhouse. When I go there, is there anything 100% I have to try or order? Oh my God, this is such a perfect question for me. The perfect order at a Texas Roadhouse is, depending on how hungry you are, you can do either the half rack or the full rack of ribs. And then I would say you do that with like a sweet potato or sweet potato fries, and then the other side would be like green beans. Like they do like the bacon and green beans together. That's the meal. That's the perfect order. I would say fast, maybe hit the gym pretty hard so you can come in and ready to consume a lot of food, because you're going to consume at least 500 to 1,000 calories of their bread. You're going to get their buns and the cinnamon butter. So you're probably going to have about 1,000 calories from that, and then probably another 1,000 calories from the ribs and the sweet potato and the green beans with bacon. And then if you're a dessert person, they just have normal dessert. The Studio and Apple TV, anyone? I like that. The Seth Rogen show. I think that's a good one. Bro, their steak fries. I'm not a fan of steak fries. I don't like something with such low surface area. When it comes to the world of potato-based products, they improve the more surface area that they have. Like, you want it to be like it's just, I don't know. I think steak fries, they're too wide. So when the individual surface area of like the product is too much, no. I look at the total surface area of like a bag of fries. Well, it's going to have more total surface area the smaller the fries are. So it's just, I don't know. I just don't, like, we've really never talked about this together as a community, but I kind of think the guy who invented steak fries is a little bit of a douchebag. I do. I know you guys for years have been like, Matt, what's your opinion on the creator of steak fries? And I've always kind of like, because I'm so like influential in this world, obviously like a major news source, like I was always afraid to say this, because if it gets picked up, like who knows like the repercussions. But at a certain point you have to live your own truth. And it is my truth that the guy who invented steak fries, he's a little bit of a bitch, if you ask me. Like it's just too the sizing. Who the fuck wants steak fries? I don't get it. I don't get why he invented it. I don't get why people consume it. And I don't even get why people gaslight themselves into thinking that they like it. I don't think there's a person who likes steak fries. I think there are people in this world who suffer from severe gaslighting, I guess. Like, I wonder if they were, I don't know, maybe unfortunately the victim of like a mind control experiment from the government. Maybe they got into a bad car crash where their short-term memory is gone, so they never can remember if they like, I don't know what it is. But there's two types of people in this world. People who don't like steak fries, and then liars. That, like, literally, those are the two buckets of every single person in this world. Like, those two buckets alone encapsulate everyone in humanity. Everyone who's ever existed, everyone who currently exists, and everyone who will exist can fit into one of those two buckets. You're either, you don't like steak fries, which is appropriate, or you're a liar. That's the other bucket. This is genius level market analysis. Dude, we're literally just waiting for this breakout. The Qs are trying to hold it, and the spies had it. I just... It is. Thank you. Someone appreciates my commentary. We are seeing the Delta be a bit more constructive on the Mag 7, and we're actually seeing a new Delta high on the S&P 500. That's bullish for sure. Speaking of that, I didn't look at my account yet today, which maybe I should. I was a little afraid to, but the fact that we're up and away. Okay. I was up more this morning. Broadcom, for whatever reason, is hurting me right now. Old Broadcom. Dude, I am crushing these MicroStrategy calls. I have MicroStrategy. I got into it on the 9th. The only thing bad about it is I wish I put more money into it, but I'm up 106%. I put in about 10K and got about a 10K return as of now, but crushing it on MicroStrategy. And I'll be crushing it even more if the SPY can actually break out and rip and ideally go all the way up to my next bull target of 5,500. But we are having a very tough time of getting this trend line breakout. MicroStrategy looking good. I'm just going to ride that one all the way to Valhalla. All the way to Valhalla. To be clear though, if you're not in it already, it's a little chasey. I feel like the train's left the station and you should probably just wait for the next one. Just because something's looking bullish doesn't mean it's time to create a bullish position. Just because to create a bullish position, not only do you want it to actually be bullish, but on top of it, when you're first creating it, you don't want to be that far from your risk. Because you never know when things are going to turn. You never know when things are going to turn. What are your favorite type of fries? Sweet potato fries. Crispy sweet potato fries. I don't get why sometimes sweet potato fries get a bad rap. Once again, I just wonder if it's people who've never had good sweet potato fries. Steak fries, waffle fries, truffle fries, seasoned fries, or sweet potato fries. Well, I'm a big fan of waffle fries once again, because it has high surface area. So if I could have waffle sweet potato fries, that's awesome. But you know how like Arby's, back when people used to eat at Arby's, I haven't seen an Arby's in years. I don't even know if it's in business, but they're curly fries. Dude, if you could create sweet potato curly fries, dude, you might be onto something. I don't know if that's been patented or not. I don't know if I could legally own that idea, but just in case it hasn't been like stated aloud, I would be interested in investing in that. A curly sweet potato fry. I don't know if it's been invented. We might be on the frontier of fruit right now. We actually might be. You've never had a good sweet potato and your name is Steak and Gravy? Well, with a name like that, I think you need to literally just put in more effort. With a name like Steak and Gravy, how could you possibly say that you've never come across a good sweet potato? Arby's, there's one in town. The town that I grew up in, we had one, then it burned down, and the guy was basically insurance fraud. And it's like one of those little like small town secrets that we all know. It was like a false insurance claim, but just no one gave a shit. So that was the end of my Arby's relationship back when I was in like middle school or high school. The old fire, the old arson pitched as insurance fraud, which hopefully insurance fraud people aren't listening, or the owner of said Arby's, because we all really knew that you did that. So pretty evident small town secret, if I'm being honest. Pretty evident. All right. Basically waiting to see if the SPY could take out this 1003 high. The Qs are battling out, maybe a little double top. I'm looking for the follow through. I do think we're going to get the follow through just because the Mag 7 Delta is no longer puking, and then the S&P 500 is looking legitimately bullish. So basically it was bearish for the first 7 minutes of the day, and then from there we just started popping. And the reason we're not making new intraday highs is because the Mag 7's a bit lethargic. BTC ripping, is it? We got a nice pop there from about 10:20 till now. The past 25 minutes, a really nice pop, 84.4 to 85.5, so up 1.1, which is probably part of the reason why MicroStrategy looks so good. How's Coin looking today? Coin's looking good. Okay, so crypto's getting a nice pop. Netflix, I really like Netflix right now just because in all this insanity of the market, it held up super well. So when things get crazy, it kind of, in very bearish circumstances, it really lets you know where the strength is. And Netflix was, it was impacted, but if you look at it, it really didn't sell off much relative to everything else going on. So quite a bit of strength in Netflix, worthwhile thing to pay attention to. Worthwhile. Trade still showing negative gamma at these levels. Perhaps the sideways action will create a new positive gamma and create some stability. 2% stability is crazy. Yes, that is true. But remember, this is not the zero DT. When you're looking at you're looking at gamma, and you're right to say this is negative gamma, but that's the full chain put together, which sometimes it does align with the zero DT and other times it doesn't. The zero DTE, I could check it for you. Is actually neutral right now. We're actually almost in positive gamma. So the full chain is clearly negative gamma. You are 100% right to call that out. But just because you're negative gamma on the full chain, that doesn't necessarily have to align with the 0DT. So if you're a swing trader, yeah, you care about the full chain. But as a scalp trader or a 0DT trader or something like that, like a day trader, you're gonna want to compare both. So right now, it looks like the gamma is neutral on the 0DTE with the balance point around 5,450, pretty much where we are from negative gamma to positive gamma. And then we're clearly in positive delta on the 0DTE, while the full chain is negative gamma, negative delta. So sometimes there is a mismatch there that is like worthwhile to look into, depending on the like duration of your trade. But the stability is very, very low. And then if you want to see the GEX, the 0DTE GEX, what's jumping out to me is 5525. I want to state that upon like a breakout and a follow through, yes, I would expect a reaction at 5,500. But actually what I'm legitimately most excited about is this right here. That's a lot of gamma, folks. Like actually it's the biggest gamma node of the day is 5,525. So if we can get the follow through, if this breakout actually holds, if Trump says something positive, I would expect a push up to 5,500. But actually, I'd be looking for a little bit more, another 25 points, just because, once again, coming back to this key gamma level. Now, that might be a big ask, and who knows what the announcements or the news is going to be. But if we get this bullish follow through, I just want to call this out right now. 5,525. So it might be one of those situations where maybe you want to scale out a little bit here at 5,500. But once again, I would be having a reach target all the way up here. And then past that, we have the upside gap fill to 5,572. So if we end up having a nice bullish day, bullish target number 1, 5,500. Bullish target number 2, 5,525. Psychological level, key options level, and then key technical level we have up here is the upside gap fill. So 5,572, 5,525, 5,500. You might want to write those down, memor them, I don't know, do whatever you want. Tattoo them onto your forehead, whatever works for you. But that's what I would be looking at if we get this nice bullish follow through. That's what I would be looking at. Yeah, Trump, I believe, will be speaking at 11. What is the SPY equivalent? I mean, just bring up the chart. And I don't know which level particularly you're referring to. But every 10 points in SPX is about $1 in the SPY. Why don't you do options? I do options. I trade a shitload of options. Where in the world did you think I don't trade options? Where did that interesting thing come up? Why don't you do options? I trade literally, like the nominal value of how many options I trade in a year is millions of dollars worth of, like, if you were to add the total trade, like cumulative trades up, like I literally trade millions of dollars of options a year. So I don't know where the hell you got that one from. Hey, Matt, any anticipations at El Salvador meeting? Nope. I think you shouldn't have any. Just get into it and just try to be unbiased and just watch price. Like trying to have a prediction of how a political event is going to go is a really tough one. You're going to be right half the time, wrong half the time. I think it's easier and less stressful to have no anticipation and move on. Oh, I thought you do futures. I do futures. I trade futures. I trade, I mainly trade both futures and options. Once in a while, I'll trade stock. Once in a while, I'll trade crypto. But on a daily basis, I trade futures and options. I do both. I like them both just because there's certain environments where you can take advantages of a specific derivative product for whatever the setup is. I wouldn't sit here and say futures is always better. I wouldn't sit here and say options are always better. I think it depends on the backdrop. So depending on what's going on, I try to take advantage of that environment by using the proper underlying, or like really the proper trade options on futures. I don't trade options on futures because generally when I'm trading options, I care either about an individual equity, which is probably not going to have futures, or if I'm trading it, I'll just trade it on the index. There's not really an advantage to trading It's just not really an advantage. Like SPX versus ES, like whatever. Hey Matt, what are your thoughts on Reddit as a recovery play on the recent sell-offs? I don't really know much about the fundamental standing of Reddit. I just pay attention to a different grouping of stocks. Might be good, might be bad. I don't really have many thoughts on it. Don't have many thoughts, but I am liking this market pop. Is Webull still going absolutely crazy? Not so much anymore. Why is Broadcom having such a shit day? Palantir, MSTR and Palantir are crushing today. They are crushing today. Matt is definitely a do-doer. Come on, guys, stop picking on me. I thought we were friends. You guys are just picking on me for no reason. Just pick on Matt day. Here I was thinking it was a normal Monday, April the 14th, but no, you guys decided it was pick on Matt day. Can I share a quick story with you guys that since we have like 5 minutes until Trump talks, even though this entire show has been me just sharing stories. I went to a dinner last night and my completely real wife makes me do this thing where I have to go to like dinners with like other couples. And last night we went to dinner with this couple I know and I like, and then there was a whole nother couple, which like, dude, before you know it, your social battery's just going. Like, first of all, one thing about me, one little tidbit about old Matt Kohrs is I don't like people. You might think that's weird that I'm a content creator and we talk all day. I don't like people. I don't need more friends. The people I've met in my life, arguably I've already met too many people. I don't want to meet more people. So I'm in this situation where my wife always thinks it's a good idea to go meet all these other couples and do social things. And there's one couple there that I know, I like, I've known them for a while. They're awesome. There was this whole new couple that I had to meet and I had to talk with. And first time meeting them, like we're talking the first time. And okay, there were a couple margs involved, so I think that's important context to the story. But on top of those couple margs, they're just talking about how they do ketamine all the fucking time. They were just like, I made an offhanded joke about doing poppers, which you might be thinking, Matt, in what conversation would you be making a joke about doing poppers? That conversation. And it was a hilarious joke, and you'd have to understand the context and the setup, but trust me, it was a knee slapper. And then before you know it, they were just telling me about how they do poppers and ketamine all the time. And I'm like, what a fucking hardcore way to start like meeting someone. And I'm like, not here judging people who do drugs. Trust me, on a daily basis, I wish I had more drugs. I'm not by any means making a commentary on if you want to do drugs or not. I'm just talking about like, that's a strong out of the gate maneuver of like, this is the first time we're meeting a couple and they're like poppers and ketamine. And if you're a kid in here and you're wondering what are poppers and ketamine, don't look it up and never do it. There's not a point where you're gonna be like, oh, thank you. It's so cool that we did horse tranquilizer. Don't do it. Drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. Bold strategy. I literally was thinking of that meme in my mind when they were telling us, like, holy shit. If someone is prohibited from trading options due to their job, what do you recommend? Do you have some videos long-term investing? So your job says you can't trade options. Well, if you want to be an active trader and you still want to leverage products, you should look at futures. But if you're just an investor, just pick your favorite blue chip stocks and add it whenever there's dips and move on with your life. Just say nay. That's hilarious, dude. That was the best comment of the day. Just say nay. Drugs are bad most of the time. Well, Bruce, what's the right time? When you're driving through a school zone, perhaps? Maybe. Ketamine is a common mental health treatment. Yeah. Like there's many drugs out there that have like medicinal, like legit medical industry, medical practice uses. that are just then abused by other people. Can we look at the options flow? Sure. Mag 7 had a bit of a pop, giving a bit back. SPY just tagged a new delta high, giving a bit back right now. But overall, really just focus on the trend. Like, imagine if there was just like a linear regression line. Obviously, it would just be pointing up. So I wouldn't be so hell-bent on like a pop up or pull back. Like, look at the general trend. Generally, that's bullish. The Mag 7 was bearish, then bullish, then bearish. Now it has no fucking idea what it wants to do. And right now, we're all just kind of waiting for Trump to start talking in a little bit. We're all just waiting for Trump to start talking. All right. I do have a link, and it's starting in about 3 minutes. Is this one already going? We're all just waiting awkwardly. Waiting on the president and the other president. Trump welcomes El Salvador's president to the White House. So I don't know if they're going to be talking about tariffs. I would assume that even if they aren't, the reporters are going to ask questions about tariffs. So we're just kind of waiting. Just kind of waiting. Matt, do you drink alcohol? I've been known to have a libation or two in my day, you know? One of those things. One of those. You know what's I found out recently that kind of blew my mind? Did you guys know that like it's currently a trend and a fad in the Gen Z, I guess, age group to just not drink? I had to go to this trading conference or this trading meetup a couple weeks ago, and for some reason, I was the old man at the age of 30, and there was a bunch of Gen Z other influencers and trading people there, and none of them drank. They're like, yeah, no, we just don't. Like, I didn't know that was like, it's a strong trend, that Gen Z is like, they're like, we just don't do it. And I think it's because they still have like a glimmer of hope in their eyes. I think it's because like they think life, like they haven't realized that life sucks yet. So that's my big assumption, but maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. They'll ask the same questions worded slightly differently until Trump gets tired of repeating himself. Most likely. I'm 32 and don't drink anymore either. Well, that's what's interesting is in the millennial group, there's a big like health trend to get away from alcohol right now. And that's been prevalent ever since post-COVID. Was basically during COVID, alcohol consumption spiked. And then out of it, people are like, dude, we all feel like shit. So in the millennial group, you're seeing a similar trend, but for a different reason. Gen Z, from what I've read, it's more of like, it's just like not a cool thing to do. But for millennials, it's more of like we should be a little bit healthier. And then if you look at like Gen X and baby boomers, their alcohol consumption has remained consistent because they're not pussies. They've basically seen enough life and done enough stuff that they're like, fuck that. At least from what I've heard. I'm 33 and a hangover feels like death at this age, so I cut back. Well, that's fair. It is interesting where, like, in college, you always hear that from older people. They're like, when you get to my age, you're going to be really feeling it. And you're like, yeah. And then when you start to get above 30, and I'm assuming it just gets worse and worse, it is crazy how accurate that is. What I used to put down in college, dude, if I did that now, I would have to take a week off, man. It's just so crazy. It's so crazy how much your body just gets horrible at processing it. Finishes his shower beer. Give it 6 more years and the liquor stores will be the next Starbucks. Maybe. All right. Are they ripping this yet? We're just kind of waiting. If you're just joining in right now, we're just waiting for Trump. The Fox cameraman is just kind of panning around. They don't have the nicest cut pattern. You'd think that they would have a better design going on over here. Weird question for you guys. I had like a Jimmy Neutron brain blast idea. Do you guys think it would be better if I was always up here? Like, I'm trying to figure out where it actually makes the most sense to put myself on the show. Like, should I be in the top left? Should I be in the lower right? Should I be in the top right? Should I be in the lower left? Like, should I be down here? Because then you guys can see all the stuff in the right, but then that might cut this off. Am I too big? I need to move myself. Maybe I should just be smack dab in the middle. Maybe that's a strong streamer position that you really don't see many people taking advantage of. Maybe my camera should be like literally in the middle. Jordan, I actually hate that. Lower right, bottom right for sure. That's the place to go. This one? Are you guys sure you're just not used to it and you've always just seen me over here? I think Carmen's right. I'm voting on the center. All right, market's just waiting to see what Trump either does or doesn't say. We're awkwardly in this stall pattern. Maybe don't show your face. That's another thing I'm strongly considering. It's just going no face. Maybe a day on, day off. Day on, no face. Day off is like all face and no charts. It's either fully me or not me at all. You know, strong things to consider. Strong things to consider. Don't cover the fourth chart. Yeah, but I need to have the same dimensions as this so it doesn't get all messed up. Things to consider. How about I just send it on this eval account? Get two. Go long one and short the other. Easy peasy lemon squeezies. Easy peasy lemon squeezies. I think no face, but add a foot cam. Or is that only for the Discord? Yeah, that's a Discord thing. Just all day feet trading cam. All right, we're just awkwardly waiting for Trump right now. Come on. The only issue with this is I consume enough coffee and water in the morning that I perfectly time my bladder to go at like 11:05, which is generally why it's perfect timing because the show normally stops at 11. But then we get into weird circumstances like this where I'm pushing the limits of what my bladder can hold. Just basically putting my life on the line. The casting couch view is preferred. Yeah, we gotta keep the audience on their toes. I love this. There was no insider trading at the White House, according to the White House. According to the administration is not insider trading. The best definition of intelligence is the ability to predict the future. I'm going to predict that I will be crying in the shower tonight. All right, I don't think there's any other major breaking news as of this exact moment. I think we're all just awkwardly waiting for this. Awkwardly waiting. NVIDIA to manufacture AI supercomputers in the U.S. for the first time. NVIDIA to manufacture American-made AI supercomputers in the U.S. for the first time. Interesting. Blue Origin's all-female crew launches into space. Good for them. Good for them. All right, yeah, I'm not really seeing anything else. Here's a quick look at the options flow. S&P 500 giving a little bit back. Kind of just falling to the peak that we saw at 1006 in terms of delta. The Mag 7 is, whoa. 1056 right here. We just saw Mag 7 start to puke, and now it's legit puking. Legit, dude. If Trump announces something that causes the market to tank and these motherfuckers are front running it, how is that? Like, they have to know something's up. If this market ends up puking and we had someone front running it right here, like, come on. It's just, yeah, someone's puking calls. Puts are dropping, but it's more so these calls are really getting smoked. Is he about to announce something bad? We're getting a trend line snap on the Qs. This isn't a good sign on what Trump is about to say. Potentially. Potentially. It is a little bit unsettling. A wee bit unsettling. President Xi, China encourages Chinese firms to invest in Vietnam. Interesting. All right. Are we ripping this? That's not Levitt, is it? Just another blonde person? Is that Caroline Levitt? Or are we just looking at two blonde chicks? Not all blonde chicks are the same person. Something happened at 10:55, 10:54 that definitely changed the tune of the market. Was anything announced? What was announced? New York Fed, the share of households seeing a worse financial situation is the highest since October of 2023. New York Fed, March expectation unemployment will rise to the highest since April of 2020. Okay, so the New York Fed's been popping off and the market is not liking it. New York Fed in March, households were more pessimistic about jobs and future. So it was the Fed survey coming out that 1 year inflation expectations rise to 3.6%. Really 3.5 from 3. So they're up 0.5%. All right, yeah. So this is seemingly related to, we got the New York Fed survey coming out. And the market is not a fan. And the numbers are not good. They are not good whatsoever. And it pretty much aligned with the start of this sell-off. So I guess the market reacting to the New York Fed survey. All right, let's get rocking, dude. Let's do this thing. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Are they doing anything? Are they doing anything? I'm checking some other streams just to make sure we're not missing it. Nope. The AP is just there. Nothing's happening. CNBC hasn't even started theirs. And then Fox, it's the same one. They're just like a camera or two down. New York consumer inflation 5-year announced at 4 p.m. 5-minute and 10-minute potentially breaking down, but really just choppy sideways. 30-minute bullish, 4-hour bullish. 5-minute, 10-minute potentially breaking down on the Nasdaq. 30-minute and 4-hour still bullish. We've really just kind of gone nowhere today. We're just like in this range. Market open, sell off, bounce, sell off. Like we're literally just in this 30-point range as of now. The supply chain for semiconductors is infinitely complex. Well, it can't be infinitely complex. There has to be some sort of end to it. All right, maybe the SPY Delta is starting to bottom here with price. Pop, puke, maybe a bit of bottoming. The Mag 7 really puking. Someone is puking, capitulating those calls. Look at that. Jesus. How are we looking on this trace map? I don't know. The thing that still catches my eye is 5525. That's quite a bit of gamma. 5525 all the way up here. So hopefully something positive is announced that gets the bulls to return to the market, and I would love a push up to this major negative gamma node. Someone's long a lot of calls all the way up to 5525. So I'm looking for the Qs to ideally recapture this trend line, the SPY to hold it, but I'd love us back above 543, 544. But everything starting right around 1055, 1052, something like that. Everything took a bit of a hit. This is a weird ass day, yeah, thus far. BTC popped up to 85.5. Now we're down to 84.8, but still green on the day. Palantir has the biggest gain on the day, followed by MicroStrategy. Nvidia is doing well. All right, maybe we just have a higher low. Somewhere around 9:45, potentially the low of the day, followed by 10:15, maybe followed by now. Maybe we just have this succession of higher lows potentially. I think the market, yeah, we have a little bit of that New York Fed survey, but now we're all just kind of like awkwardly waiting here. Awkwardly waiting. Everything is up over 1%. VIX is dead, and we keep making downside moves. We're making higher lows. What do you mean downside moves? We have higher lows. That, by definition, is not downside moves. We're just waiting. I don't think we need to be making any special conjecture or anything like that. Let's just wait to see how the market reacts to Trump, even if he says anything about tariffs. They're getting ready. Literally, they're going through the perfect place to stand for the pictures and whatnot. All right, let's get going, dude. We're just waiting. It says the Fed announcement hint at a rate cut. The Fed announcement? Do you mean the New York Fed survey? No, that's not what the survey is for. Warming up their cameras. VIX is going up. Dude, the VIX is down 16%. Are you high? It's actually a sizable drop in the VIX, and you're saying it's going up? Are you like a little too zoomed in, maybe? Are you perhaps, literally just looking at like a 10-second chart or something? Because if anything, the VIX is it's down 16%. The SPY's up 1.3. The Qs are up 1.3. Bitcoin's up 1.1. All right, are they doing this? I have to go to the bathroom so bad. All right. Behave. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. All right, we're back. Bad news. Coffee pot's out of coffee. All right, let's get going, Trump. What's going on, brother? Crazy hair day. What is going on here? Come on, dude. If you're just joining right now, we're literally waiting for Trump. Options market spiked up until 10:53. Since then, giving it back. The Mag 7 tried to recover, and then you can see once again around 10:56. It just really started to puke, and it's just a lot of calls are getting dumped. A lot of calls are getting dumped. So not really necessarily bearish, but definitely a lack of bullishness. And Piper's just conked out. She doesn't care about this. She's bored. Bored to tears. Bored to tears. What else can we do? Scanners. Dollar General, MSTR still looking pretty good. Yeah. Looks like their squeeze alert thing. It's like GameStop's on it. AG. Their little squeeze alert thing on Spot Gamma here is calling out AG, GME, and RX. Where's GME on this? Low IV. It's picking up. It has still an upside gap fill to 27. We're going to see if this bottom can hold again. We're just kind of at the bottom of today's intraday range. Puke, bounce, puke, bounce, puke, bounce, or is this the actual puke? We're just wait. Oh, hang on. We see someone walking in. We got some action. Is this part of it, or are they literally just dropping off flags? Feels like this might be something of importance. Yep. We got some flag movement, folks. Flags are on the move.
Ready? Post. Ready? Post. Ready? Post. Post. Ready? Run. Two of us. Right?
Lots of flags. Dude, this stuff takes forever. Like, let's go. Tiny bounce right here in the market, but we're on edge. We're definitely on edge. And whatever is going on with their mic or that whirling in the background is kind of annoying. Kind of annoying. Oh, that little bounce, the market just gave it back. We doing anything?
Flag! Attention!
Oop. Attention. Does that mean we're gonna get rocking? Attention. Let's do this thing. We got some movement. We got some handshakes. We got the market doing absolutely nothing. I bet you guys never thought trading was this high octane. So much going on. Attention. Come on. A little bit of a pop in the market. Maybe we're finding a bottom again at the exact same place that we've found said bottoms. Potential triple quad bottom here at 540. Potential triple quad bottom here at 459 on the Qs. We did break the trend line, but the SPY maybe a little fake out. The Qs clearly cut theirs, but kind of feels like we might just be, we open, we puke, we bounce, we puke, we bounce, we puke. Maybe we just are gonna bounce. Like literally, we've just been range bound. Here's a look at the flow. Dude, this is getting painfully boring. Mag 7 at the low of the day. S&P 500, nice pop, gave quite a bit of it back. Now just going flat. I am getting bored to tears here. Give us something. Give us something. Give us something. The person in the front looks like AI. Hey, AI lives matter. She's cute, says Monkman. Ask her out. Ask her out if you think she's cute. Go find her. She's got your attention. Go ask her out. Come on, put your bravado on the line. I double dog dare you. Yes, it's highly detergent. What the fuck? Did you see MSM call their president a dictator? Disgusting. Save your calls. When's your next dinner couples date? Hopefully not for a while, dude. It takes a lot out of me. I just want to sit home with my cat. Simple man. I just want to order some ribs, some takeout ribs, and eat them with my cat. Ooh, market getting a little bit hit there. Pretty sure this was supposed to be a while ago. What's going on here? What's going on here? $10:05. The president participates in a bilateral meeting with the president of the Republic of El Salvador. 11:35, the president participates in a bilateral lunch with the president of the Republic of El Salvador. So that's in 10 minutes. 11, the president greets the president of the Republic. I think we were waiting on this. But just so you know, he is then scheduled to speak again at 3 with the 2025 College Football National Champions, the Ohio State University. Stonks are on edge, folks. They're on edge right now. What is happening here? Besides a whole bunch of nada. Everything was actually looking pretty nice up until about 10:50. Trump needs to put in his order first. We'll see. The Qs are really close to their intraday low. Really close. Well, I'm happy I got out of my trade where I did. In retrospect, that was good timing. Not that I predicted this by any means. If anything, I thought we'd keep going, but I'd be deeply in the red right now.
Start recording now?
Getting the full over. As soon as I see Margot come out, we'll see. I'll tell you when.
Barely testing the 15-minute Orbo. Well, it just broke down. Broke down out of that Orbo. Generally, I think the average extension's like 0.2 or 0.3%, so that might be a playable thing. But remember, there's about a 50-50 shot that when you break the 15-minute Orbo, you break the other side at some point in the day. There's about a 50-50 shot of that.
Yeah. I'm gonna follow Cargo when it gets to like right there. I'm gonna go wide. When it gets to like
Options flow, I mean, it's negative. Look at it, and it's something in the Mag 7. The Mag 7, someone is unloading a serious amount of calls. And actually now they're buying puts as well. So it's the old double doozy. Put delta's dropping and call delta's dropping. Yeah, this is kind of accelerating here. Do they know something we don't know? We just made a fresh low on SPX. We are coming up to this next key level at 5,400. Below that, we have the downside gap fill at the high from Friday, last trading sessions, at 5,381. So watching 5,400 right here. So the guy's not even there yet? Are we running behind schedule? Here's some Spanish. We need someone to interpret it for us. Are we missing any breaking news here?
Margot's come out.
Margot's come out.
Start recording?
Are we doing this thing? Or are we just getting teased again? That's a lot of flags. Like almost too many flags. Telemundo Kohrs. Margot! We are not bouncing out of this fresh low, at least as of now. We're getting real close. Maybe we get a bounce at 5,400. Maybe it's a quick downside gap fill to 5,381, 82, somewhere right here. Watching these two levels. Oh, I heard someone say salute. Car!
Ready, Kohrs?
There's Trump.
Ready, open?
He's going to dap him up. Or maybe just a handshake. I don't know.
Ready, shut. Ready, face. President Trump, sir, President Trump, your message to Christians during this Holy Week, sir, the start of Holy Week. Do you have a message for Christians, sir, during this Holy Week?
That's his message. No fucking way did we wait all that for that. We just waited an extra half hour for him to dap up the other president and then give us like a rock solid. Well,
I apologize. I was trying to have one on one side, one on the other, and I was like, okay, I'll be seeing you later.
Well, I'm going to be reconsidering my life choices after that wasted half hour that I'll never be getting back. But I guess it happens. Sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. That literally, we got nothing. We got a really sturdy, just fist type of a situation. So, wow, that's something. And as you can see right here, a bit of a bounce. Are you guys surprised we're a bounce? No, you shouldn't be, because I perfectly called out the level to you. If you're looking at the SPY, you'd say that's kind of a random level. But if you look at the bigger product that most big money's trading, you say, oh, it was a perfect bounce off of 5,400. So that's a real-time example of maybe why you should be checking out SPX. Before I let you guys go, don't forget to check out Public. If you don't have an account there already, you should definitely do it. This is the only place you can get a rebate to trade options, at least that I know of. Highly recommend you guys check it out. It's pinned to the top of chat. It's in the description of the video. You need to use that link to start out at a higher tier of rebate. So I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you're an options trader, aspiring options trader, this is the place to do it. It's the best one in my opinion. Pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. And obviously, shout out to them for being partnered up with us for so long. Obviously, the market pretty much range bound today. Nothing going on as of now. Pay attention to anything that comes out of Trump, because we are expecting some sort of public commentary from him, and ideally gives us a little bit of an update of what in the world is going on with the current state of the trade war. So if you are an active trader, a day trader, definitely be careful, because there could be news dropping at any second. Other than that, I'll be posting an update video later on this evening, and then we'll be streaming once again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. bright and early. I hope to see you there. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your good vibes. I hope you're crushing the market, and I'll catch you later. Love you all. Peace.